output's going to be 4K. It'll be beautiful, look good on YouTube. Everything will be perfect.
Well, I mean, I look good regardless, whether it's low res, high res.
He's like, come on, man.
Doesn't really matter.
He's
man,
like,
I've been doing this a long time. Yeah.
Man said I woke up like this. You know,
okay. His hair don't just grow itself. You know?
Right.
So.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Make It Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Barkley.
And of course, I am the other half of the Chocolate Studs, aka the host of the Make It Podcast. You got Nick Bugs here. I'm happy to be here again, brother, with you, having some fun, and of course with our team. But it's another great day in the neighborhood, man.
Yes, it is, and I love that you're bringing up Chocolate Studs. You know, people wonder how we got into film. If you just take that nickname, you can make your best guesses as to how we got into film. Kevin Costner once did it. There's a few people who were able to transition into film from that industry.
Yeah,
but,
man.
I'm not telling you to Google Chocolate Studs, but if you want to Google Chocolate Studs,
yeah, right.
If you want to GPT that, you can do that. With us today is our incredibly esteemed guest, Coke Daniels. Coke, say hello.
How you doing, guys? Coke Daniels, writer, director, extraordinaire, producer sometimes when I have to be, but my main thing is writing and directing.
Coke, man,
nice.
It's so good to have you on the podcast. Can you tell everybody sort of a little background of what you've done in the past, what you're working on now, what you're excited about now?
Okay. Well, I started off in the industry honestly, in the late 80s, early 90s, I was a hip hop artist. We were the first group signed to Loud Records. We were a group called Madcap. Loud went on to sign Wu-Tang and Licks and countless Akon, Big Pun, like too many to name, iconic hip hop labels. So that's how I kind of started off in entertainment and spent much of the 90s, being in different underground hip hop groups and things like that, which is where I met Eddie Griffin. And Eddie Griffin, I came up with an idea for a film called My Baby's Mama originally. It got switched to My Baby's Daddy. We set it up at Miramax. And it don't ask why either. They were like, nobody knows what Baby's Mama is. Let's call it Baby's Daddy. What is the damn difference? Whatever. Call it whatever. Let's just put it out. I'm over it.
Right.
But
get it done.
So yeah, we did that film. I was just a writer and co-producer on that. And it's so crazy, rest in peace, John Amos and Tiny Lister. Mm-hmm. They were both in that film, and both of them at different times, and as well as Eddie, they all just was like, you need to be a director. Like, your voice is too strong just to be a writer, because I was on the set giving the executives hell. Like, what are you doing with the script? What is this? Who is this director? Just a mess. But they let me know exactly. I mean, actually, an executive named Jeremy Kramer, who was at Miramax at the time. I think he was at Fox last time I checked, but he was like, go out, do some movies on your own, scrape up some money, come back, and then we'll do some films with you. They still haven't done any films with me. We're not going to talk about that. But in any event, I went on to directing. I did Who Made the Potato Salad was my directorial debut. Came out through Fox. Mm-hmm. It's like considered a cult classic. Every Thanksgiving, you see millions of hits of the dinner scene with Jaleel White and BB Drake and Ronaldo Ray and Clifton Powell and D. Ray Davis. Like, this was my first film to be able to work with all these icons. It was just amazing. So I just, fell in love. And after that, I just been knocking out indie after indie. Some of them you never heard of them. Some of you heard of them, but they've all just been a learning lesson leading up into, just to make a long story long, I would say Karen was kind of the one where I turned the corner in the industry and finally, had a legitimate budget, a film that was timely. It was in the right genre where it made people really recognize me more so as a filmmaker. And then, most currently we got the Waterboyz, the film that I have out now on Amazon Prime and YouTube and Google Play and a couple other platforms, cable. A lot of the cable networks have it on for rent or to purchase. That's with Quavo and Lala and Omar Dorsey and Akili McDowell, a lot of amazing actors as well. So I'm just continuing the journey. I'm writing all the time, thinking about what's next and, moving in that direction, man. It's hard to hit a moving target.
Nice.
Here. That's an incredible resume, and shout out to Omar Dorsey.
Yeah.
We met him in 2015. He was one of the attendees of Dick Gregory's Star on the Walk of Fame.
Okay.
And we were all at the W together, and there was Omar Dorsey, there was Stevie Wonder,
Nice.
Lakeith Stanfield before Lakeith was
Mm.
Lakeith, and Dick Gregory had a way of just bringing out just everybody.
Yeah,
And
I got to meet. That's a whole nother book or movie I'm gonna write one day. It's just all the people I met and hung out, not even just met, but hung out with, being around Eddie Griffin in the early 2000s. Like, he used to always, he would just pick a restaurant in Hollywood and just take it over. And every night we would just be up there, and you'd walk in, it'd be everybody from Dr. Dre to O.J. Simpson to LaToya Jackson. One time we ended up getting flown to Miami to meet Michael Jackson, messing with Eddie. So that's just a whole nother film but Dick Gregory, many a times I got to hang out with Dick and be under that tutelage of him and Bill Duke, plenty of dinners and glasses of wine. And, so yeah, it was an amazing experience. It definitely, being under Eddie's kind of mentorship definitely helped, craft what I do in so many ways,
A lot of,
but Omar's my guy though. Back to Omar, that's my brother, and we got some stuff that we're working on as well. Yeah,
he's super talented, man.
Yeah, man.
And,
Amazing.
we don't have a lot of degrees of separation between us, so
Yeah.
it seems like this podcast was inevitable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're both light skinned, so you weren't at the meeting, you weren't at the last light, and you let him call you chocolate. So we're gonna talk later about all that. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. He's like, man.
I'll tell you my
chocolate
secret.
and caramel. He's like, yeah, you gotta stop tripping.
I'll tell you my secret is how you get called chocolate as a light skinned dude.
Oh man, I don't even know. I'm from the Shaolin Temple as well. So
exactly, that's right. Yeah,
I
36
love that.
chambers,
So
the
man.
Hung Lo
36
Temple actually
chambers.
is the cousin of the Shaolin Temple. Yeah.
Right. Hey, see, Chris. I mean, he practices. No. You practice that, man.
Oh,
you
nice.
practice that. I practice Long Wang.
Okay.
So you ain't gotta. Like
Namaste.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You're ready. Watch this. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Well, you bring up Eddie Griffin. I am curious. This is really great for filmmakers to know. I mean, you're in hip hop. You're in this. Loud Records was super legit.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
I'm an old head when it comes to hip hop. I remember Loud Records. I feel like I remember Madcap as well.
Yeah,
How do you make that pitch to Eddie Griffin?
Oh, so the dope thing about it is we were kind of on the rise at the same time. I'm not going to age myself. I'm a little younger than Eddie, not much though. But he actually came to the Madcap listening party.
Okay.
He was friends with we had a mutual friend that brought him to our listening party, and this might even been pre-Def Jam Eddie. I don't even know if he was on Def Jam yet, so he wasn't really like becoming the guy. So
Okay.
I went on to, Madcap. We went on tour. We were doing our thing. I did a second solo album with Loud Records. So it was probably many years later that me and Eddie reconnected when I came up with the idea for the movie. And, he remembered me, and he just liked my tenacity and the fact that, like, a lot of people was coming at him with ideas. I had a script, and he couldn't believe that. You know what I mean? He was like, wait, you got a script? Because, people, like I said, it was literally like the dinner of thieves. You just go up there, it's nothing but these comedians and actors and gangsters and models, and you don't know who's going to be sitting with Eddie Griffin, but it was always people pitching ideas. But I had a script, so he loved the script. And I think more so, to be honest with you, I think he just rocked with me, the script, because I wish I could find that initial script, because I guarantee you it wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? I think he just really I think he liked the concept, and he rocked with me. And also he kind of seen me on a different level, because he seen me in Madcap first. He seen me, like, we had our listening party at the Church of Scientology, and all the who's who of Hollywood was there then. Like, we were doing our thing. It's just, I eventually just fell out of love with music, because all the things that were going on that still, unfortunately tarnish the culture to this day, with the gun violence and people getting killed and things like that. I wasn't about that. I was a Tribe Called Quest, BDP, Eric B. and Rakim rapper. And once it got away from that, I just wasn't really into it no more. So he took a huge chance on me, and he really went hard to get Baby's Daddy done. And I'm, eternally grateful to him. And in turn, I try to snatch people up like that as well, and see the the potential in them and invest in them, especially because, urban filmmakers and creatives, like, it's a very small world, and there's not a lot of support. The majority of films that are getting greenlit every year are not films made by urban filmmakers and urban genres and, things like that. So it's it's important that we yank each other up whenever we can. The talented ones. I mean, I'm gonna go with the talent first, but I feel like I got to pay that forward because just it had no rhyme. My story makes no sense as it relates to the film business. Even Miramax executives were like, "This was Baby's daddy." They were like, "Cope, so how many other scripts have you written?" I'm like, "None." They're like, "What?" They're like, "This is your first script that you ever wrote?" Yeah, I was so green, I didn't even. I was still half a rapper, by the way. I'm still coming around, smelling like weed, afro, sagging. Like I was still until I had to learn. Like, okay, you're in a different lane now. You gotta move a little differently. Keep that grit to your artistry, but definitely, the presentation, had to become a little more refined, especially as I've gotten older. But my story doesn't make any sense. It's like I wrote this script. I knew Eddie Griffin. I gave him the script. 2 years later, we're on the set of a $10 million film with Eddie, Anthony Anderson, Method Man, Michael Imperioli, Bei Ling. Like I said, John Amos, man. He really, I was just reflecting on him the other day when he passed away because he like, when one day, I'll just tell it, John wouldn't care. We came in, we were smelling like cannabis, me and one of Eddie's partners, right? So we breezed past John, and John is like, he leaned into me, he's like, and I just met John, and I'm still like, oh my God, this is John Amos. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not about to say nothing to this man, because I know how to play my position with Eddie too. I didn't try to overshadow whatever he had going on with folks. So I would always just lay back in the cut and observe, But he was like, "You got something to smoke?" So I turned, I was like,
Wait, what?
I said, "You smoke weed?" He's like, "No, I'm taking a survey." He's like, so we go outside, and I'm telling me and my other buddy Bird, rest in peace. He was Eddie's bodyguard. He passed away, but him and Bird sat in this truck out in Toronto for probably like 3 hours just smoking, and he told us the whole. It sticks with me to this day because it definitely is something to help inform me on how to carry my artistry, because I think he's seen I had that same kind of resilience and grit that he had that ended up not being the demise, but just definitely, that's why they got rid of him off of Good Times, because he was battling with the writers. Yeah, he didn't want to
that's right.
He didn't want to betray stereotypes, and he was butting heads with the writers and what's my man's name? The iconic producer. Lear. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
Norman Lear.
Norman Lear.
Yeah.
Right?
John even told me, he said he was getting into it so tough on him, he had to bring a gun to set a couple days, So but he just definitely gave me the speech about, man, your voice is way too strong to be a writer. And I learned, like, the industry really, they respect writers to a certain degree. It's definitely a filmmaker's medium. That's the ultimate voice of authority, So I'm a Leo. And I'm light skinned from the 80s, so I had to be the ultimate voice of authority. Like, I can't, I just couldn't, just like and I could have made a gang of money. I made a lot of money on Baby's Daddy just writing, but it drained me. It just wasn't creatively fulfilling. And so I went on that long, dark road of independence and ate a lot of top ramen. You know what's good about top ramen? Hey, you can mix it up with a lot of different things, and you can make like a delicacy.
Anything. That's
you can put shrimp. Usually hot dogs, but on a good day, you put some shrimp in there. You know what I'm saying?
Man, the college thing was the hot dogs. I did that I don't know how many times. But yeah, you can spice it up, do a little shrimp. You got to you get some onions, like some grilled onion up in there.
Yeah, just close your eyes like I'm at Benihana's. But
hey, get those chopsticks too, bro. Yeah. That's all I gotta say. Like,
I never went that far. I feel you though.
Come on, man.
But I tell people all the time when I spoke at Morehouse recently to the film students there, and I told them, learn to love top ramen. It's gonna be your friend. Trust me.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you're probably not really good at what you do. That's one thing that I've learned too. I've seen people come and go. It's like, man, how does dude come in the film industry and get first film, $5 million, $10 million budget, but then he's not around no more because he didn't really go through the motions, you know what I'm saying? So I ramble a lot. You can cut me off at any time. You just want to be like,
no, man. No, that's a great story. And I was going to mention something about Good Times. Like, what I also understand is that Esther Roll basically is the person who got him on the show in the first place.
Yep.
Because I believe that the show was supposed to portray exactly the whole single mother situation. Yeah. She was like, no, I'm not doing this if you don't bring him into the show to begin with. So she was already fighting that stereotype.
I'm going to tell you the truth. You know what? As you're saying this,
it's crazy.
We don't hear these stories anymore. You know what I mean? No. Unfortunately, we don't hear those stories of, like, at least, and I've been around, and I've been in everybody's office. I've pitched everybody. So I'm pretty well in tune with the industry. And I could just say, for the urban film industry, Black Hollywood, which I always say doesn't really exist. It's just, because it's, you know what it is? It's such a small space. So it's very competitive. Like I was explaining earlier, not a lot of black films get greenlit every year. And then not a lot of black filmmakers are allowed to level up and get into like episodic television or creating their own shows and things like that. So it's a very competitive space. So people don't really advocate for one another anymore. And I just, you know, I wish we could get some of that back, because it's really important. Because I'm familiar with that story as well, that she, you know, insisted that she had to have a husband, and they listened to her. And
That's
good
right.
times wouldn't have been good times without John Amos.
Without James. And the thing is, man,
who would have died? Who would
damn,
have died when she would have
bro. And when I'm telling you, like, when he died, you know, that's exactly the gift that I sent to my brothers was damn. I just 100%. But the thing is that when you know the story behind her demanding that he be on the show, that damn moment, it means something
powerful.
totally
I didn't
different.
Even think about that.
Oh
right.
my God.
Because she probably was really pissed off that they did that. You know what I'm saying? Because it was done behind politics. They wrote him off the show because he didn't want to play ball.
Yeah.
And you know what sucks about
honestly,
that is when
watch it again, man.
When it's a person of color, they're difficult. When it's not a person of color, they're creative. You know what I mean? And it's like
creative differences.
All directors are difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because there's never enough money, there's never enough days, there's never enough creative control. You know, even though I do independent films, there's still compromises that need to be made, particularly as it relates to budgets. But it just, you know, it's very, you know, you shouldn't if you're a good filmmaker, you shouldn't get along with producers. Like, and they shouldn't get along with you. I mean, you can be friends later, you know, but when we're working and I'm telling you, I need this crane, and you're telling me, no, we're going to go into overtime. Like, all right, we can go out back and settle this right now, like gentlemen. And I usually get the crane. I'll just say that. I won't speak on anything else, but I usually end up with the crane. So I love them stories. And like I said, to be able to sit with John like that and him just really, I don't know, I guess he just took to me because he was a writer. And he seen I was a writer. And he told me that he only took Baby's Daddy because of this monologue I wrote. There's a monologue in Baby's Daddy where he yanks them all in and gives them one of them James speeches. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, that's the only reason why I took this. So I think he's seen me. And I've had other people do that, like Stan Lathan. I had lunch with him one time, and he was like, you know, he's iconic. You know, I'm sure makes plenty of money doing what he does. But I explained on what I was doing. I'm like, man, I just hustle up money, shoot films. I set them up for distribution. I'm just trying to, you know, work my way up to, you know, do bigger things. He's like, man, keep doing what you're doing. Don't do what I do. So it just is, you know, cats like that are like, you know, bullies of the back lot from the old school that I've had the chance to come across and really just pick up little gems here and there, just enough to feed me to say, all right, I get it. And, you know, I didn't really know the path I was on from the beginning, understanding that I made films that were sometimes offensive, sometimes controversial. Even when I was doing comedies, like my uncle told me one time, he was like, you know, he said, you know, your humor offends white people and some black people. He was like, what are you doing? I was like, I know. I just, you know, I mean, that's just me, especially as it relates to comedy. Like you know, I don't know if you've seen any of my earlier comedy films, but they were really raw and in your face. It was a different day then. And I was a rapper. I was still half a rapper. Yeah. So I didn't understand being PC. So, yeah,
I still don't.
You didn't need to be. Well, you didn't need to be. And Chris, one of the things that I was going to bring back to one of the things that Chris and I talk about is like one of the reasons why, you know, people were interested in you and probably continue to be is because you follow this model that Chris and I enjoy, which is a moving train.
Yes.
Right. Which is when you sat down, you talked about, hey, look, these guys had ideas. Ideas aren't going anywhere.
No.
You can literally sit down in one place and have 1,000 ideas.
Facts.
Exactly. But the fact that you actually had a screenplay at the time, a script, you had a thing, that means you took at least one step forward that those other people didn't, which is what differentiated you from the rest of the folks. Chris, absolutely, I know that's something that you're always talking about, Chris.
And that's the thing too, is that script in particular, I didn't have no screenwriting software. Like I literally had to, it was the strangest thing. Huh? Oh, I was about to tell you.
You wrote it in just Word?
I wrote it in Word and had to move everything over with the little columns and then print it out at Kinko's and then probably ride in some bucket up to the Sky Bar to meet Eddie, who's sitting up there drinking $1,000 bottles of champagne and explain to him why he needs me. of all people, from Altadena,
Hey,
California.
hey,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we're gonna have to put it in. We're gonna have to put Kinko's in the show notes because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't even know what
We
that
don't even
is,
know what
man.
Kinko's
Yeah.
is anymore.
Wow.
Like, what is
Wow.
Kinko's?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
You
remember.
know,
I
we
spent many a night at Kinko's, bro.
No, they're like,
many
what is
a night at
Microsoft
Kinko's.
Word? Like, you just put it in your
Right.
notes. But
Right.
so yeah, but the interesting part of this story I like to tell too, and I'm happy I'm getting to talk to you guys at length because usually interviews just pop in and pop out. And like I said, the brief part I've seen of you guys' podcast, I'm like, oh, we're about to go in. Like these guys are film guys for real.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I had originally took the idea to. I only knew one person I ever heard of writing a script in my life, and it was a friend of mine. And I took the idea to him, and I said, "Here, I need you to write this for me." And he was like, "I can't write that. It's your idea, but I'll show you how to write." And them words right there just resonate with me to this day. Because even when guys come to me, they're like, "Hey man, I got this idea." I'm like, "Hey, so do I." You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I could tell you how to write your script. I'll show you the same books I read, and even they have more new ones that like Save the Cat and things like that that really break it down for you. Where there should be no reason why your screenplay is not structured correctly. There's all kinds of different software cheap. You know, I didn't have those things. I literally remember sitting on my mom's in their kitchen on a little stool and the ironing board with her laptop, her work laptop. She gave me her work laptop and, you know, banged the script out. Had never written a script in my life. I just read like the Screenwriter's Bible, and it may have been one other book. And I just started looking at scripts. So like I said, I guarantee you, I'm gonna try to find it one day. Miramax got to have it in their library somewhere. I guarantee it was
Hey
awful.
Man,
It was
I'm mad
awful.
I'm
and
mad
I was
you
so
brought out
offended by them rewriting it, and the script was probably horrible.
But you brought up the freaking ironing board, bro, because I remember that. I've been there. You know, you get that because that's it's just quick. You just bring it up, you get your work in.
That's right.
But you said laptop. I had a typewriter.
Oh man,
you know, what I'm saying? You know, white out, bro. Like,
no, I always tell people if I had to do that, I don't know if I'd be a writer. Like if I had to deal with a typewriter and you get halfway through a page, you got to start over. I remember some screenwriter they were talking to one day actually said he would always write his script. This was typewriter days. He'd write it all out and tear it up and then start over again. I'm like, what kind of lunatic was that? It was somebody iconic too that said that. I forgot who it was, but I just was like, you know, everybody has their process though. So
my friends in high school had laptops and computers. I had a dot matrix typewriter. You had the dot matrix paper you put in that had holes on the side.
Hilarious.
And I had to do every paper on that. I loved it. Yeah. I didn't exactly, PB. I didn't think it was anything crazy about it. Now,
honestly, I didn't realize it until later when I started having all the accoutrements. You know what I mean? The final draft and a nice laptop. You know, my mom's was like I don't even know what it was. One of them heavy ass laptops. Like it wasn't nothing sexy. The keys were all hard and like it was. But hey, I had a story to tell. I had a story to tell. You know, and I knew because I had a baby, and at the same time, my friends had babies, and I'm like, oh, baby's mama. Like my films usually start with a title. I was like, this needs to be a film. Like you know, and originally we had it where they were the stories were not linear. They weren't friends, you know, and of course Miramax came in and made it formulaic, but mine was more so, I made it kind of like a Pulp Fiction kind of story where they were all going through their own thing and then they intertwined. Because at the time, Pulp Fiction was still one of my favorite films, but it just was
Well, wait. I gotta say something. I gotta throw it back to Chris real quick because not only do you guys have this, you know, this light skinnedness
in common, in that man's face when he had to say that. There's a memory that's directly correlated with the light skinnedness.
Whole life flash.
The light skinnedness. Yes, that's right. So not only do you have that, but there's two other things I want to mention. So, and Chris, you can expound upon this because that's your story, not mine. But one is, but one is Chris also started in music.
Nice.
And the second thing is, you hear what he said? He said all of his stories started with titles. Chris used to have this writing style that he would do that started with headlines, but I won't tell it, Chris. You handle up because it's very
they call it rip from the headlines. Like that's the thing. That's where Karen came from.
Yeah,
literally.
I would go. Yeah, exactly. And shout out to Vanzil Burke, who was on this podcast.
Yeah. He worked
on the film.
Yep.
Karen as well. So
that's my guy, man. Shout out Vanzil and Victor Burke. He was at the
Peachy Film Festival.
Yep. Those are my guys,
both those
man.
dudes are
brothers.
awesome.
Yep.
We talked to Victor for like 3 hours.
Oh yeah, man.
Right,
Vic's,
PB?
yeah, Vic's the guy, man.
We talked to him for a minute.
Those are my brothers, man. We did a lot of work together. They my first film I did with them was His, Hers, and the Truth. I had like an 8-year lapse in my career. Like things got really dark. My mom got Alzheimer's and sick, and it just was a really down time. And my films hadn't really resonated the way I needed them to. Like Potato Salad kind of did. Baby's Daddy made money, but I did like a weed movie with Lil Duval and Devin the Dude and some other films that are, you know,
Little
have an
Duval's
audience and they're
hilarious.
starting to gain more of an audience as people look back. But I just hadn't, I came up loving Spike Lee. You know what I mean? And then obviously loving Martin Scorsese and loving all these amazing filmmakers. And I eventually had to sit back and go, why don't my films look like that? Like, what am I not doing right? Because why aren't they getting the response that I need? Because I wasn't really tuned into my craft because I was still never went to film school, didn't have any formal education. And some people brag about that, but it wasn't a hindrance, but I just had to learn everything the hard way by trial and error through people investing and losing money and making money and things of that nature. But I had eventually just been like, you know what? The next time, I don't care if somebody gives me $50,000, I'm going to shoot something crazy. I'm going to shoot an amazing film that's sexy, that's across the plate. It's none of this stuff that I and my homies at the barbershop think is funny. It's stuff that generally resonates with the culture. And that film was His, Hers, and the Truth. It was a romantic comedy. It was kind of my version of She's Gotta Have It. Even if you watch that film, you'll see a lot of Spike shots in it. Like, I just was like, I could do it. She's Gotta Have It and help elevate my career and get myself in the direction that I'm trying to go. And that film got picked up by BET and was at ABFF and all that. And Vanzel and his brother financed that film, and now they're financing a bunch of films. Yeah, those are my brothers.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I will tell the story really quick though, Nick, for since you brought it up. When I was a songwriter, I would go to a coffee shop. They would have free newspapers, and so I would just grab the newspapers. And back in the day, now see, they don't do this anymore. Right, I'm on the board of NPR and WPLN, and we are literally fighting every day to keep real reporters, human reporters, in the field that can speak truth to power, that can walk into that neighborhood and see what the real thing is, not the rhetoric and all the bullshit you see on social media.
Facts.
And so, but back in the day, you would have a job. It was somebody's job to write the headline that you saw in the newspaper. And so the headlines were way better back in the day. That's not me just being get off my lawn guy. I'm just saying, it was somebody's job to write the headline for the piece that somebody else wrote. Now, if you could do both, you had a skill, but a lot of times you weren't better than the headline guy. So you would take the headlines, and then you'd say, if that were a song, how would I write the song?
Yeah.
And I would take the headline, write down the best ones, and I'd write a song to it. Then I'd drive across the street where Nick was at Vanderbilt University. Shout out to Vanderbilt and to, I think, Eric Michael Dyson teaches there now.
Michael Eric Dyson? Yeah, that's my brother too. I worked on a talk show with Dyson.
I went dyslexic on you there.
Yeah,
so,
where do you say he's at now? He was at Georgetown before. You said he's somewhere else now?
He's at Vandy.
Vanderbilt? Okay.
Now.
Yeah, that's what's up. They just beat Alabama. Wasn't that Vanderbilt?
They just beat Alabama.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They just beat Alabama. Yep. They turned downtown upside down.
Shout
out to the Nashville Police Department. Shout out to the NPD.
They handled it correctly.
Dude, they were so good about it.
Let's be
clear. For people that aren't from here, they don't know how much space is
I
between
think there's one glaring
Coke.
Because it's Vanderbilt. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Hey,
all the black people were on the field.
The Bayou Classic, and you know what I mean? Right. Southern Mississippi at Howard or something. You know, I think it would have been a little different outcome. You know what I mean?
Hey, Chris, did you hear it? I heard this. I heard this in my ear. I heard. Now, let me be clear. Okay.
Let's be clear. But
that's a good point.
Hey, because I mean, sometimes they get out of hand with other races of people too. So it's not always black people. Yeah. Just
I'm trying to imagine that being all black people and it going the same. I'm actually having a hard time doing it because people that aren't from here don't know, or from Nashville don't know how much space is between Vanderbilt University on West End Avenue and the Cumberland River, where they carried shirtless, where they carried the goalpost down and threw it in the river.
Hilarious. Right. I didn't even watch the aftermath. I just seen them rush the field. I seen them take the goalpost down. But my son was saying something about that. I should have looked it up and seen the rest of it.
So it's 5,000 people going down the middle of Broadway. Now, if you haven't been to Nashville recently, it's basically Times Square for the South.
Wow.
It is so busy every day, even on a Monday.
That's crazy.
It is slammed. So this was on a Saturday. It was packed. These kids have their shirts off. They are running down the middle of Broadway. It's a 2-mile hike. So they carried this goalpost for 2 miles. and threw it in the damn river. And the cops didn't arrest anybody.
Hey, Chris,
they didn't
Chris,
club anybody.
may I jump in? May I jump in for a second and explain to you why it was
you're
so
you're alumnus of Vanderbilt. You need to jump in.
I'm gonna tell you real quick, because I'm just Black folks, we run faster.
Yeah.
So what happens is, if you get a bunch of us running, we're a little bit more intimidating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You see them running that fast. There's something wrong.
You've seen them clips on the internet where Black people just run when they see other Black people running. You've seen them loads.
Yeah.
That's real though. Yeah. A Black person come just sprinting around the corner.
I've always done that.
What the hell is going on? That is
always. If somebody's running, I'm running, and I'll ask questions later. Now, Nick, I did have a story about you. Can I share this?
Uh-oh.
This is related. So you shared a story about me.
He said, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Can I share this? Can I share this
safe for the children to see, or should we?
Right.
It's safe. But this is related back to filmmakers needing to learn how to eat ramen.
Yes.
And it's funny because now it's a fad. You go somewhere and you spend $30 on ramen, and it's crazy. But when I met Nick, he was not the Nick. So today, Nick is the way you would describe him. Almost the very first adjective you would say about him, Cook, is he's optimistic and he's energetic.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you'd say he's a chocolate stud.
Then,
but
Whoa.
pause.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, right. He's like, pump the brakes, bro.
But when I met him at Vanderbilt, he was
dark
a little
chocolate?
bit. so he was thinking. PB. You're spot on. He was dark chocolate when I met him. He was a little bit more somber. He was a little bit more morose. He was more covered up. He was more protected. He'd wear these hoodies. You couldn't see his face. And I was like, man, this dude, Nick is cool, man, but he's always down. He's down. And I found out he wasn't sad. He was hungry. He had no money. His daddy would not send him any money to refill his Vandy car. He was walking around starving. He was so skinny back in the day. Yeah. He was walking around starving all day. And I remember Nick walking with you on campus, and you turned to me like, man, I got $14. $14. How am I supposed to eat? He won't send me any money.
Hey,
you were hungry.
You
were
sad. Listen. I'm gonna
know
tell you
the difference, kids. No difference between being depressed and starving
and being hungry. I'm gonna tell you how it is. Yeah. All right, you got to understand this, okay? So there's this thing though that the community seems to recognize. So I'm gonna tell you. Right, you're absolutely right. So why was I upset about my $14? I was upset because I'm standing behind another student in line, and her card says $1,400. Wow. And I'm like, man, that's not even fair, right? They buy whatever the heck they want whenever they want. But here's the deal, Coke. I'm gonna tell you how it is. I would walk into the cafeteria with my $14, and I would go to the little Chick-fil-A that was at that spot. Okay. And you had these women who work behind the Chick-fil-A, and they would put your little food on your tray. Okay. So I'd say, I would like to have a chicken sandwich, please. And the woman would say, okay, baby, I got you. Hand me my chicken sandwich. That chicken sandwich, you know, that little bag they put it in?
Yeah.
That thing seemed a little puffy when I got it. I was like, this thing is a little, I don't know what's going on. Okay. I don't know. Oh, all right. I don't know. Extra bread. I don't know. Man, I get this thing. I pay for my little thing. I go sit down. There's 3 chicken sandwiches in there.
Yeah, look at that.
Because they took care of me, man. They took care of me. And there was a woman there we used to always call Mama. Right. She would take care of us, man. I'd be sitting at the table with my little spaghetti because that's what I could get with my little $14. And next thing you know, who walks up but Mama? Nice. And she's got the rolls, man. Nice. Italian rolls.
That's all you need.
With the foil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can take something back with you, baby.
Yeah.
Man, the community's there.
Yeah,
when you need them,
and it builds character. You know, that kind of struggle builds character, man. And it makes it one of my favorite quotes is the journey is the reward. You know, when you've been through a lot and you're able to achieve even just a little something, you're like, ooh, because you know what you've been through, and that's why I don't like gravitate towards people who ain't really been through anything, especially in this industry. It's like, oh yeah, your dad was a big time TV director, so of course you're a director. Of course, This is why you're doing this and that. You know what I mean? It's, nothing's wrong with nepotism, but I just feel like you handle things differently when you work for them. You treat them with more care.
Yeah, and it comes back to what you said though.
Yeah.
You're giving it back too, right? So that's
got to.
also what made me want to give it back. I mean, she didn't have to do that for me. None of them had to do that for me, but they did.
No.
So anytime I have the opportunity,
touching.
There you go. I'm mad at you. Why you like you digging in right now? Oh man, just digging. But yeah, I give it back too, man, because it's just that's what we need to do. We need to continue to give back to that next generation, the next person, whatever it is that looks like they're trying to do something. Like she knew I wasn't there to mess around. I was there trying to do something.
Exactly.
So she helped me. So I'm all about that life, man.
That's a great story.
I want to talk about Waterboyz and hear about it, but I do want to ask, because you've brought it up 3 times on this podcast already in this conversation about giving back, doing for others like Eddie did for you.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Perry, and I'm paraphrasing, basically said in response to the criticism he's received for not putting people on, is that I need Black people to get better at filmmaking.
Whoa.
Thoughts about that?
Was he talking to himself or was he talking to other people? I'm confused. Because if he's talking to himself, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more.
That's right. Well,
he said that. I've never heard that quote.
I'm basically paraphrasing.
That's wild, man.
You can pull up, you can find it for us. But
I'm not even going to speak on what that mentality is. We all know what it is. It's been around for hundreds and thousands of years amongst us. But that's just that's crazy, man. That's crazy, especially from somebody whose all art is subjective, but his is extremely subjective. Like that's wild, man. I don't, and honestly, I think that is gonna, even to this point, I think it's been to his detriment. And honestly, that's one of my, if there is any criticism of Spike Lee, I would just say, I think filmmakers that have made it to that level had the opportunity to do, and I will do it, you know what I'm saying? But have the opportunity to do what Dr. Dre did in hip hop, where he pulls up all these other iconic artists under him, and now he's a billionaire. Because if it was over with NWA, we wouldn't be talking about Dr. Dre. He wouldn't have no headphones. He wouldn't have none of that. If he didn't snatch up Snoop Dogg and the Dogg Pound, and then subsequently 50 and Eminem and Kendrick Lamar, and the list goes on and on. So I think, unfortunately, I don't know what it is. I know what part of it is it's so difficult as a person of color to make it in this industry. And when you do, we know, like, this is history with us, man. Of just like it's such a tough thing to make it out. And when you do make it out, just like I recognized earlier when I was talking about Eddie Griffin, some people say, yeah, my script was just that dope. And man, he better have nah, he just messed with me, man. He just rocked with me because I think he just dug me as a person. He seen I was hungry. But yeah, amongst all the things I've ever heard Tyler Perry say, that's by far the most disturbing, because he's not a good filmmaker. He's a successful filmmaker, but he's not a good filmmaker. You know what I mean? And
we conflate those sometimes.
Yeah, one doesn't even. Yeah, they don't correlate. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not Steve McQueen. He's not what's my man name that did Moonlight? Barry Jenkins. He's definitely not Spike. He's not John Singleton. Like, but he's a very shrewd businessman. I will say that. Like, one thing I admire about Tyler Perry is he is the green light. Like, he doesn't have to go ask for permission from anyone when he says, I'm doing this series.
True.
Checks pop up, he's going to shoot his series. You know what I mean? If not, he just bankrolls it himself and makes him regret it later. So a lot about what he represents as a Black businessman in this industry is to be applauded. But that's disgusting, because there's so many amazing, talented filmmakers and writers. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a question about that. No, back to, like, because you said earlier something that is not in the same vein, but it's similar.
Yeah.
Which is, you're ready to help people out, but it's the good ones, right? Like, you got to show some mettle. Like, I'm not just,
absolutely.
This isn't about handouts. Like, we're not doing that, because I'll tell you, I'm gonna give you just a quick story, and it's just kind of more of a general statement. I get a lot of the giving back actually from my dad. That's what he does. It's his life. He does it all the time. But sometimes I felt like he did it to his detriment, because sometimes I felt like he was doing it for the community, but the community hadn't stepped their game up.
Yeah.
So he's putting his name and reputation on the line to get people who seem like they're trying, But,
Yeah.
when you put this, I'll just say it like this. When you put this handyman on a job,
Yeah.
because you're trying to help him out, and then you get a call from someone at the house who says, this man's asleep on my couch.
Yeah.
That's not going to work, man. That's not going to work. And I've seen my dad do that way too many times because he's trying to help the community.
Yeah.
But I think that's potentially the way that Tyler Perry was trying to say it, was that, and he probably shouldn't say it out loud. Like, that's the key, right? That's don't say it like that.
That's a lot of this stuff. It's family business.
Film.
You don't talk about family business out in the streets. Like, we could all fist fight and cuss each other out in the house and throw things, but when we go outside, we're a united front. So I think that's airing out family business. And I do disagree in the sense of, I do agree in the sense of like, I'm not gonna try to help somebody that's not trying to help themselves, and again, that's what Eddie Griffin seen in me, I'm sure, is beyond just, us clicking as like boys, that I had an actual script that he could go show people and say, hey, I want to do this script. Here's the script, not here's the idea. Let me pitch it. So there's a thin line between, help and, just basically contributing to somebody's, lack of productivity. So
there you go.
I just think, and the media, you guys are in the media now, and I know you guys aren't this type of media, but they take sound bites sometimes. So who knows? Maybe it was said in a different context. Maybe it was something said after or before that, because I've never heard that one, and I'm here in Atlanta, and I've heard a lot of things about Tyler Perry, but I've never heard that one in particular. But I'm offended, but I'm not really surprised, because he said, kind of not similar things, but other kind of outlandish things in the past. This is my thing, man. This is my first time doing like a little media run. I'm more so about let the work speak for itself, and especially speaking on the general. I'm talking to you guys very candidly because, it's that kind of, we're in the barbershop. But, I was just on a syndicated talk show today, Portia. Like, we're not going to talk about this stuff on there. And if they do bring it up, I'm going to be like, no comment. You know what I'm saying? Because it just, it's again, it's a small industry, and but I don't believe in that, man. It's just, especially now with technology the way it is, and smartphones and all these different apps and things that the younger generation has a hold of. They're so creative, But one thing I'll say that I think is lacking so far that I've seen is the actual art of storytelling. It's easy to make things look beautiful. Not easy, but it's teachable. You learn how to light and make lighting look sexy and move the camera and do all kinds of little tricks and VFX and all that kind of stuff. But telling a story, like all the films that we love, even the ones that are beautiful, it was a beautiful story too. Beautifully written script, performance, wardrobe, so many things play into making really masterful type work. And I feel like some of that is missing, because I was having this conversation with my son, and I just sometimes want to slam my phone against the wall when I'm on social media and I see somebody that puts filmmaker as their title, and I'm like, oh, what's interesting. Let me look on IMDb and see what films this gentleman has made. Because I do films, and I know where to look for other filmmakers.
Yep.
Oh, you haven't done any film, sir? Then you're not a filmmaker. You're an aspiring filmmaker, or if you're a content creator, which is another dope title. I'm not a content creator. I'm a filmmaker. I don't do short form content. Kids, younger generation making a lot of money on that. I respect it. It's not what I do. But if you shoot content for social media, you're a content creator. You're not a filmmaker. If you shoot music videos, you're not a filmmaker. You're a director, but you're not a filmmaker. Like for years, I wouldn't even put that name filmmaker near me, because I wasn't one. Like, filmmaker is Scorsese, Hitchcock, Spike Lee. Those are filmmakers. Like, they tell beautiful stories and visually and everything else. So, but I say all that to say is, like, the technology is there, because again, all those things that I just not really shot down, but I just want to make a distinction between the different disciplines and what people do. But I see some stuff that, especially with this AI stuff, that's my next frontier of like really digging into it. I know it's been around a minute now, but really just digging in and starting to try to, I'm not trying to run from it. I'm not necessarily going to embrace it, but I want to know more about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's wild, man. The things that this guy showed me these, like animated videos of like, Afrofuturism type stuff. And I had a concept I was working on, like, this stuff looks like Black Panther. And he does it in his computer with a bunch of apps and stuff in like 2 weeks. I couldn't believe when he told me. I'm like, how long did it take you to do that? He was like, oh, like 2 weeks. What? So it's interesting. But I say they have so many.
And we're just scratching the surface.
I actually came into the digital age, so I was fortunate. I've never shot on film. I've always wanted to. but it costs so much money and it takes more time, and you have to be like, I like to let the
It's
camera roll.
risky.
Yeah, I like to let the camera roll. Like I don't like to. I stay close to the talent and the crew regardless, but I like the camera to keep rolling. I don't want to cut, reset, roll sound, last looks. No, we're not doing that again. Like, especially my films are usually like 10-day shoots, at the 12-day shoots. So I don't have time for all that. Like, I gotta let that
That's
camera
quick.
keep rolling.
That's quick.
But yeah, it just there's so much talent, man, and that's why I named my company Flicksville USA. Is named after Hitsville USA, which was kind of like an incubator for dope musicians and writers and all that
Yeah,
under
right.
kind of that Motown umbrella. And that's much the way I see my film production company is not just producing my films, but producing other filmmakers' films.
If you ever have an idea where you're going to shoot a good portion of the film outside, that might be the one where you decide to shoot on 18 millimeter or something like that.
Yeah, probably a
Because
commercial. Once I start doing commercials, then they're just throwing money away.
Yeah. Well, two things about that. The softness you get with film is remarkable. I mean, it really
Yeah.
shows up, especially on big outdoor shots and things like that. The
Yeah.
commercial. So we have a friend that shoots commercials, and he was telling me their budgets for each commercial is $100,000 to $200,000.
Yeah.
But
that's low budget though. Those are low budget commercials. Even that's crazy.
Yeah, they make $20 million on every $100,000 commercial.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. But you know what that is due to just what I just described. All these, I call them shooters. There's a difference between a shooter and a cinematographer. Like, they're training all the young cats, the young cats that don't have the same like passion, and they're going to fight with you over the creative. They're like, oh, you just need me to shoot this? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll just do it for this, because I didn't even 120,000. Like the films, like, I mean, the commercials that I'm familiar with, the director makes 120,000, but I know everybody's slicing and cutting budgets. And so, I've been doing some stuff with Cadillac, and they were even giving me that whole rundown of like, hey, we slicing these budgets way, way down. So, but that, hey, 120,000 for a couple of days of work. And if you're creative and you know how to shoot something, and move quickly, that's still a cool little hustle.
Yeah, and they shoot so many because the commercials are all designed for online. They're not designed for network TV anymore.
Yeah, smart.
The commercials are 15 seconds, right?
Yeah, the first 15 seconds.
Max. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So just different world. All right, so who was Waterboyz made for? Because I want to show this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Who was Waterboyz made for? What was the inspiration behind it, and why is it important for everybody to go out and watch and support?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, is centered around Waterboyz of Atlanta, who are like young kids out here, and young men. I hate calling them kids because I mean, some of them are kids. They have Waterboyz that are 10, 11 years old, but for the most part, they're like teenagers, usually later in high school or after high school, that stand out on the corner and sell water. In order to earn some money, instead of getting into other problems. Essentially, that's kind of how at least the general concept of being a Waterboy started. It was to stay out of trouble, make some money, avoid all the trappings that are in not just Atlanta, but most of the inner cities and even some of the smaller cities at this point with the gangs and drugs and everything. So when I seen them outside on the corners in Atlanta, I'm from LA, but I've lived here like 9 years now. So probably about 4 or 5 years ago, they became really heavy out on the corners. And I just was like, man, LA kids would never stand on the corner of anybody's freeway, corner, anything. In the 100 and something, in the 80, 80 degrees, upper 80s in Atlanta is like 100 and something in LA because of the humidity. Like, I mean, it's ridiculously hot.
Right. Yeah.
So, but once I started doing a deep dive into them and started understanding these kids sometimes are out there making real money, because people like myself pull up in the city. Hey, man, here's $20. Keep the change. Here's $50. Keep the change. Before you know it, they out there 8-9 hours a day. They done made a few $100s each. So some of them started, clothing brands and things like that. And then naturally, when you get a situation where there's young kids standing on the corner with a bunch of money in their pocket, you're going to attract the criminal element. So then that part of it started coming into play with people robbing them having to carry guns, them getting into physical altercations, the police shutting them down, the city wanting to shut them down. So these are all just themes of Waterboyz in general. So I wanted to take that and show the positive aspect of the Waterboyz, because a lot of them, they get a bad rap because all the media reports is the jumping on the cars and the, one of them punched a cop in the face a couple years ago and things like that. That's what the media reports. Sometimes they cover the positive Waterboyz, but more so than not, you're going to see the negativity, because that's what sells. You know, heat brings more attention than light. So I just really wanted to show the Waterboyz in a positive light. I wanted to show the city of Atlanta in a positive light, because it's such a beautiful place to live. You know, my second home next to LA, and you know, and just make Atlanta a character. Show all the local places that people are familiar with, the Crystals and the Martyrs and the. You know, we were on the west end of Atlanta, which everybody knows is, you know, and then the Bluff. You remember the movie Snow in the Bluff? We shot in the Bluff, which is like the hood where T.I. and a bunch of other rappers are from. So, but aside from that, I wanted to tell a coming of age story, much like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, on the things that just face young people of color in general, you know, outside of the whole Waterboyz story of it all, just in general, kids having to make decisions in life. And I'm a father myself, so you know, raising young men and seeing the things that they have to go through, you know, it's alarming and it's concerning. And especially, you know, they're fortunate enough to have a dad that does film. So, you know, I got a couple dollars. I'm not, you know, I don't got Tyler Perry money. I got Coke Daniels money, but that they, you know, are allowed to live a different life and make different decisions. So, you know, I just wanted to me, it was like do Atlanta's version of Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, these old school films like that. And, you know, just, you know, talk about gun violence, man, and talk about the things facing these youth. And even for, you know, people that are familiar with Waterboyz in Atlanta, hopefully they'll look at them a little differently when they pull up on them now to say, oh, man, that might be like that kid in the movie that he's just trying to buy a car.
Right.
He's just trying to go to college. He just, you know, his best friend just got murdered. Like he's, you know, trying to help raise money for the funeral or whatever it may be. It was so, you know, all great films are about numerous things and they're multi-layered. And I just felt like there was so much to this film, aside from just telling the actual Waterboyz story, like the history of the Waterboyz or something like that, like to do a story that's centered around a group of Waterboyz that are going through all these real life things that all kids go through and all of us went through coming up when we were growing up. You know, you have friends taking the wrong path, you know, you're trying to figure out what you want to do in life and find direction and things like that. And I just think, you know, mentorship's a strong message. I just think it's a lot. I wanted to make something creative. I love gangster movies and true crime, so I wanted to make something in that vein, but put a, you know, a spin on it where you hopefully walk away feeling uplifted and definitely educated on some things you may not have known about.
I think you're going to educate a lot of people on what a water boy is in the first
place. Yeah,
that's
right.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm happy about that, man, because it's such an interesting culture and it's such a you know, it's important because we like I said, we did Portia's show today and they brought some actual, I've talked to actual Waterboyz, but they brought some up there and just to hear these kids talk, you know, about their stories and the reason, you know, their why. We all have a why in life, you know, and their why is like, my mom's got other kids, they all babies, like I'm the only one, like I got to get out and make money to help pay the bills and, you know, we don't have a car and, you know, so it's just like, and it made me feel good because a lot of those themes are in the film already. Like you feel it. You feel the tension of, you know, having to be out here to sell water, to avoid trouble. Right. You know, the kids in the film, they have one of them, you know, he got injured, so he couldn't go to college and play football. You know, most of them are kind of just in the middle of the road, don't know what they want to do. Drew's trying to go to college. It's just, you know, that fork in life that we all reach, that awkward state in life when you're like, you know, late teens, early 20s trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And I think with the risk with this movie is making sure that you sound authentic in the dialogue and in the acting. That's such a hard dance to dance as a filmmaker, as a producer. Do you actually know the moment where you lost the tone or gained it? So I'm excited for people to see it because I think you know.
Like, well, all the kids that are in the film are Southern kids. Like each and every one of them, you know, and it was dope about it is Akili, who played the lead. He's from Houston, but he talks real square and he's from the hood. Yep. So it's not like he's not from that element, but he just, and there's certain kids like that. Like not everybody in Atlanta talks all country.
I was like that.
Yeah. It's like, you know.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this, Coke, you had a good balance. I'll tell you that. That little friend group.
Then there's the one you can't understand what they're saying. You're like, what did he need subtitles. Yeah. That's Dolo and AJ, Antoine Walker, amazing actor. He's from Decatur alligators, like they call them.
They did great.
Yeah. So, you have a favorite set story, by the way?
Before we get doing Waterboyz or?
Yeah, Waterboyz. A favorite set story from the movie?
You know what? That movie was so complicated because we were on such a short shoot schedule. It kept raining, thunderstorms. Somebody else asked me the same question the other day. And I was like, I don't think I have a fond memory of any moment.
You're right. I didn't like that.
Other than being happy that I'm shooting another film and I'm getting it done and it's looking amazing. But nah, I mean, well, definitely pardon me?
This was a 12-day shoot?
Yeah, 12-day shoot.
Like you normally do?
Wow. Yeah. And then, like I said, we were August in Atlanta. If you want to shoot August in Atlanta, you should probably not be shooting outside. And you should definitely not be shooting a movie that takes place mostly outside. You probably shouldn't do that, because you're going to get rained out.
But you're telling me also that sweat was authentic?
Yeah. No, I told them. I told the makeup people, I'm like, don't pat them down. Like I learned that's right. Again, I'm a student of the game, because not only do I watch people's films, I watch all their interviews, documentaries, anything I could absorb about people who I admire what they do, including, especially Spike. And two things I took from Spike, one on Waterboyz, was definitely that. I was like, don't pat them down when they're sweating. The sweat plays, because it's typical on a film set. They want to keep patting the actors down. I'm like, no, let them sweat. You know what I mean? Because it's part of the character. Yep. It's part of the allure that drew me to the story, is like the heat of them standing outside in this heat in the summer selling water. The other one that I stole from Spike Lee, and this one's great. So on school days, he put the dark-skinned actors and the light-skinned actors in different hotels. He put the light-skinned actors in like a really nice hotel, and then he put the dark-skinned actors in a really ratty hotel. And he didn't say nothing about it. He just did it. And it created that tension, And when I seen that, I was like, oh. So when we did Karen, we put Taryn Manning in one house, and we put the black actors in another house, and we wouldn't let them interact in between shots. And eventually Taryn figured out what we was doing, and she got so mad, but it looked great on camera. When she was that angry. I was like, okay, action. Is she still mad? Let's do it again. But I thought that was brilliant when I heard that from Spike, because I'm like, yeah, we're doing this movie about racism and this racist lady, and she can't stand y'all, and then y'all gonna be over there at Crafty palling around together and eating snacks, and you're gonna be able to jump right back into it. Like, no, let's create some real tension here. So, I love all my films, but it's always drama, man. Films is war, man. It's like, I honestly, I think my more fonder memories are when I wasn't directing, like Baby's Daddy. I got plenty of fond memories on that one, because I was just sitting there eating craft services, bothering the producers. You know what I mean? So
nice.
But all of them are great memories, man. Anytime you get the privilege to be able to shoot a film and tell your stories how you want to tell them, it's a privilege, man. Yeah. So I'm definitely not trying to be that kind of person where I'm like, oh my God, because it wasn't. I'm always happy when I'm on a film set. Barry Jenkins said it best. He said, I'm my best person on a film set, and that's me. But I'm just so in the moment, and there's so many moving pieces, and dealing with talent, and missing flights, and it's raining, and we're in the hood, and people threatening us, and then we had to have armed cops off duty, like cops and armed security with us, and because I wanted to shoot in the hood. And, the AD was like, I know this lovely corner over here kind of out on the outside of Atlanta. I'm like, no, because Atlanta people are going to look at that and say, where is that? But Atlanta people will look at this film and go, man, y'all was in the Bluff? Like, nobody got killed? Like, we had Quavo and Lala. Quavo and Lala's out in the Bluff. That's one funny story. It's like 2 a.m. Quavo standing out there, all his jewelry on, in the middle of Bankhead. And I told the AD, I was like, hey, if you don't go tell Quavo to get his ass up in the house, like, what is he doing? He just sitting there chilling. He's comfortable, though. This is his city. You know what I'm saying? But,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, but, hey, they're all fond memories, man. Making any film, all of them are fond memories, man. Every day.
That's awesome.
The short film I made last year, we shot at this house where on the left side of the block is gentrified, and on the right side of the block is still in the hood. And
is this the actual location, or was this the concept?
This was the actual location.
Wow.
And I had to walk down the street, and just full disclosure, I own that house.
Nice.
And so I was like, okay, I know all the people. So I walked down the street and talked to all the working girls and everybody in the corner. I said, we're shooting a film. It would be awesome if you guys just didn't walk up the street right now today and didn't fuck with us. Like, this is what we're doing. I just leveled with them. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what it costs. This is not, we're not getting rich over here.
Though. Were you
just steal down the street?
Were you doing a Kamala and code, what do they call it, code switching? Were you talking to them were you talking to them like, yo, look, my sister, like, I really need your help with this. And,
right.
Hey, Tom. Hey, buddy, I'm going to talk to you in a second. So sis, that's what
Well,
I'm
You just
saying.
can't do it out
Like,
loud.
yeah,
it was my film, so I didn't have to code switch.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Hey
sometimes
man,
you got
I
to.
don't care though. You got to know the room. My son's
Hey,
laughing at me all the time. They be like, "Dad,
chameleon.
you be putting that business voice on, like you crazy, man." But yeah, you got to. Like you, that's ridiculous. Whoever came up with that being a thing is ridiculous because you got to know the room, man. You got to be able to navigate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I've always thought of myself as a chameleon. All right,
Yeah.
so let's watch this trailer. It's incredible, and for the audience, enjoy.
Let me explain to you the economics of being a water boy.
You get a bag of ice, $4. 40 waters, $5.36 each.
Ain't no jobs out here. Folks ain't got no choice but to hustle.
Oh, get your water. And these corners are getting dangerous, man. It's like we starting to deal with the same type of drama we would have if we were selling drugs.
Promise me that you'll always make it home safe.
Mom, I told you, I want to get us out of here.
I keep telling y'all we need a fire.
We're not getting guns.
If you live by the gun, you die by the gun.
What is your end game, man?
What's a nice guy like you doing in a place like this?
In response to the recent violence surrounding Waterboyz,
Got a gun! We get it straight tonight.
No, we don't.
the mayor has ordered a citywide crackdown.
We will not tolerate these thugs fronting as entrepreneurs, terrorizing our street corners. They will not be allowed to sell waters on these corners.
You guys gonna have to find something else to do.
Like what? Sell drugs?
What happened? I don't want to talk about it. Are you okay? What happened?
Next time, it's them or it's me. Them or me.
Kids are getting killed every day out here in these streets over nothing.
Make me one promise, Drew. Promise me you're gonna be safe on these streets, brother.
That same little buddy from the party the other night, ain't it?
This a private party, bruh.
Oh, yeah?
Get the water, water. Get the water, water. Get the water, water.
In the A, everything can change at any moment.
Again, just an incredible trailer. Please go out and support it. Can you just tell us, we'll hit it at the end, Coke, but can you tell everybody where they can support the movie, where they can find it?
Right now it's on Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, Fandango. Was it Fandango at home? A lot of the cable networks have it on VOD for sale or for purchase. It's on a lot of bootleg sites. I won't shout them out. I won't shout out the bootleg sites, but I know it's up there. Not a problem. I got a theory though. People that watch bootleg. I'd rather than watch it than not watch it. You know, you're not going to make a person who watches bootleg films go to the movies or get an Amazon subscription. Like, that's not what they do.
That's a great point. I've never heard anybody say that.
Man,
That's a great point.
like Fridays got bootleg before it came out in LA. It was the best thing that could have happened. Like that film had such a tremendous buzz by the time it came out because of the bootlegs. So, but yeah, it's we're gonna expand pretty soon. I'm sure eventually it'll be on Tubi and maybe some of the SVOD platforms like a Netflix or a Hulu or somewhere like that. We're just we're kind of windowing it, as they call it. Like it's, you know, in certain windows it's out on this platform, then little by little it'll be on other platforms.
To me, that's the way you got to do it. If you shotgun it out there, you confuse the audience in terms of the way you position in the marketplace.
Well, and what I love about where the industry is now is coming from that hip hop background of seeing Master P and Death Row Records and Ruthless and all that, where I'm just like, and believe me, I love studio film money, but my end goal is not to go do studio films. My end goal is to do my film still, but with studio distribution, you know? And so that's kind of why I'm building this model now, where I get them done on my own. Sometimes on Karen, like BET gave us some money towards the budget. So sometimes it's a hybrid of you know, network money or distributor money and independent money. But it's just, you know, I think it's a change in the guard going on, man. A lot of these people that have been like they call them gatekeepers, which is absolutely a thing. I don't care what anybody says. It's absolutely a thing. If you're not part of the little club or the clique, to me, I'm gonna force my way in, so they don't have a choice but to deal with me. But it's changing. You know what I'm saying? And it's very advantageous for young creatives that have an independent mindset and know how to get resourceful.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey guys, I don't know if you remember, but in 2022, we had the pleasure of having a few conversations with the late Dr. Mark Goulston. Now, he's just an amazing guy with awesome stories, medical doctor and psychiatrist. He was so amazing and insightful, and he offered such great advice for the creative community. Well, there's one piece of advice that still sticks with me to this day. He said, one of the reasons you're creative is you can connect dots from the air and turn them into your creations. You may not even know where they come from, but you can connect dots like the way blobs of mercury connect to each other. It's an amazing feeling, but when you're on the down curve, what a lot of creatives think is the dots aren't connecting and they may never connect again. I've been on a fool's errand thinking that this would work, that I could do this. All the naysayers who've been telling me, why don't you just get a job? Well, maybe they're right. That feeling of utter humiliation and feeling alone is devastating. That's the time when you least want to reach out to people. But that's the time when you need to reach out to people. If you need help and don't know where to turn, consider BetterHelp. As an online platform, it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and completely suited to your schedule. To get started, you'll complete a brief questionnaire to match you with a therapist. The next steps are yours to take, and if you need to change therapists, you can do so with no cost. So, if it's your time to reach out to someone for help, let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/makeit today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/makeit. All one word.
Let's bring in intern Sam to drop some polls on us. Sam?
All right.
I don't know about the dropping polls on this part, but okay.
He got it.
No Diddy. No Diddy.
Hey, Chris. He picked up what you put down.
Yes, he did.
I almost hit him with a "that's what she said" earlier. I'm just like, I'm 15.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm looking a lot older, but I'm actually 15 still. Like I cannot pass up a "no Diddy" or "that's what she said." I'll be in church like, that's
right. Yep. Dang it.
They're gonna throw the holy water on me again.
Don't ever grow up, Coach.
That's right.
You're creative.
Peter Pan, bro.
Late,
Peter Pan.
Appreciate
that's all
you,
I gotta
brothers,
say.
man.
Peter Pan.
Yeah. Anytime. All right, day. Sam. Lay out the first. I almost said lay out the first poll on us.
Go ahead and throw the polls on us, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Polls out. Throw them on.
Editor Kate needs to bring up that meme where the hot dogs hit the girl in the face.
Whip it out.
Yeah, I love that meme.
Right.
I send that to my girl all the time. Yeah, she's got a great sense of humor too, obviously.
Got to. All right, Sam, what you got, man?
Okay. So we have two polls. So for the first one, as always, it's a little broader, and then we'll
Wait a minute. Is it a secret how many polls there are?
Is the poll a little broader? The poll's broad?
Right.
The poll's broad? That's what's up, Sam.
Right.
You have a good life, man.
That's right.
He's got all the advantages.
Yeah. He does. He does.
High film IQ, a broad poll. Like,
you're right. Like,
you'll be running Hollywood in no time,
blessed.
You know?
That's right. That's right. All right, what you got, dude? What you got?
Okay. So for the first broad poll,
okay.
What is the funnest film genre? So the film genre that you have the most fun with, kind of entertaining, so to speak. But number one was horror at 53%.
Okay.
Number two was comedy at 29%. Number three was mystery at 10%. And then in dead last, I was happy to see this actually, was Western at 8%. So I mean, to me that made sense. Like, you know, people gravitate towards horror movies. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with horror movies. Comedy also makes sense.
But Sam, is it unusual that comedy isn't more fun than horror?
See, that's what I was saying. I was like, I thought that they were just going to push the comedy button.
Well, cancel culture.
He literally said funnest.
Cancel culture has killed
fucked
comedy.
up comedy, right?
It's killed comedy, man. Like as you guys know, all of my early films were comedies, and it wasn't even really a It just kind of happened by design, where I was like, they don't take comedy filmmakers seriously. Like, you're not going to win an Oscar directing comedies, or nobody's going to put you up there with all the people that I keep naming over and over again without you telling some stories with some substance. So it's sad though, man. I miss the comedies, man. Like I mean, that poll makes sense though, because especially a good horror movie. I'm not a big horror fan, but when it's done correctly, I think suspense, they're probably looping suspense in with that too. Cause like suspense thrillers, you know, are kind of almost horror films. Like that's, you know, I'm a big Hitchcock fan. So that's another, I think that's a subgenre of horror kind of, but I'm surprised comedy was second even though, to be honest with you. And then not tempo movies. Like they're not, I guess they don't say anything about like Marvel movies, or like that's not a
no, he didn't include that in the option.
No,
he didn't make that as an option.
Too broad.
And maybe that was, if you put action, maybe that would have just been the giveaway winner. When it's like, let's not throw that in there. Let's not do that. And
but I think horrors is, man,
the horror thing is interesting.
Yeah, horrors is and they're saying that's one of the you know, the box office just isn't performing anymore, other than the Marvel movies. But they said that horrors is still the genre that's performing very strong. So I definitely would do a good horror movie, but I just, you know, as a writer, I just you know, it's just not one of my more favorite things to sit down and craft, you know, unless something just comes to me naturally that fits within, you know, exactly what it is that I feel like my strong suits are in terms of a filmmaker. But yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
That combination of suspense and horror is having, like, if you look at Cuckoo, Sam, like Cuckoo was like suspense and horror. And what was the one from Neon that was super popular this year, but a little underwhelming? Yeah, Long Legs. Long Legs was definitely suspense and horror combined, not straight horror.
I think from what I've observed, like from people my age too, they almost find it as like an adrenaline thing.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, especially coming in with like jump scares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, you have the stuff that's very thrill seeking, right? And so I think people get energized off of that and appreciate that. And so it made sense to me.
Yeah.
Sam, do you think that's because your world is more fake, like for people your age, increasingly more fake every day? I'm just asking. I'm just asking a question.
Real question.
I think it's I don't know if I'd phrase it that way, but I would say that I think that there's a level of people are used to more now, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think if kids, you know, went and saw something like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre now as a new movie, they'd be bored. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It requires that engagement, that TikTokification, so to speak. Of
the endorphins that got to be going, man. You got to keep them. Yeah, you got to keep them going. I mean, my son is like, he's 13.
There's too much going on in the world.
No, but they also need that. They need it. It's like you hook it to their vein. You got to keep it pumping.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because that's what you're getting from social media. It's just always an adrenaline rush. That's what they expect out of the movies. They can't just sit back and be suspenseful or thoughtful or look at the story and how they're building character. Nah, you got to hit them with something every X number of minutes to keep them engaged.
But I think that's also been the downfall of comedy is you get so much free comedy every day on your phone. You know what I mean? So like hilarious stuff. Like that's pretty much all that's on anyone's timeline is the comedy stuff. So, but yeah, I think like what Sam was saying, and plus they have so many other options. Like when we were young, you know, back in my day, not to sound like that, but to sound like that, it was the arcade and the movie theater. And outside, bikes and skateboards and stuff. Now they got a million trillion different things they could be doing, including just chilling somewhere with their friends, looking at their phones. So
100%.
There is a defining difference between the word fun and funny.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many more fun is a broader concept than funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's a good.
back
point,
to being
PB.
back
The
to being broad again.
The wisdom of PB. All right, Sam, give us the next poll.
The narrow poll? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the narrow one. Yes, more narrow.
Okay, so
potentially longer.
Okay, right. Who is the most underrated modern director?
Well, give us don't tell us number one. Just give us all the options first.
Yeah,
Okay,
give us
I'll
the
give you
options.
Okay.
Yeah, don't tell us the rankings.
So I had to look this up. I've been totally pronouncing this director's name completely wrong for an extremely long time. So I had to look it up. So we're gonna give it a go. But Luca Guadagnino, I think that's right. That's option one. Todd Haynes, it's option two. The Safdie brothers, it's option three. And then Sean Baker.
Okay.
All right. So do you want me to start, Nick? Or do you
no, this isn't a guessing thing. I just wanted him to give us the names, and then he can.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to say I don't care how the poll ends. Look, the first guy he couldn't pronounce. He's known for challengers, right? But it's Sean Baker. It's Sean Baker.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know any of those other guys by name, at least. I probably know their work, but I don't know them by name. But I know who Sean Baker is. Sean Baker's really dope.
So dope, and he can make he can make something out of nothing, man. He doesn't need you. Coke talked about making something great for $50,000.
Yeah,
Sean Baker
Tangerine
can do
that. That was another inspiration for His, Hers, and the Truth. Where I was like, man, he shot that for like $75,000. I was actually trying to shoot His, Hers, and the Truth on iPhones because of Sean Baker, but I got talked out of it. You can't win all the battles. You can't win them all.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
It's just like,
Sam,
give us the results, Sam. What are the results of this?
So Luca Guadagnino is number one with 68%.
What has he done besides challengers?
He did Call Me by Your Name.
Great.
He did Bones and All, and I think he did Suspiria.
I don't think I've watched any of those films. I think I watched the trailers.
Yeah, I don't like Bones and All.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No.
What about the other filmmakers?
That'll help you get underrated.
So number two is Sean Baker with 16%.
Wow.
Then Todd Haynes at 10%.
What has Todd Haynes done?
He did a great film called Carol with Rooney Mara and Cate Blanchett. He did a fantastic film last year called May December.
Love May December.
It was actually incredibly underrated.
Send me this list when we get off the phone, because I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen some of these filmmakers' work.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking. May December is Natalie Portman.
Yeah, so
it's excellent.
And Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
It's
two movies in one. It's exactly what Todd Phillips was. It Todd Phillips, Sam, that
Todd
did
Haynes.
Tar? No, but who did Tar?
Last
year. It's up for movie of the year. Tar. Who did that? Todd somebody. Anyway, that's also two movies in one. So anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to throw you off track. Papa Bear, can you tell us who directed Tar real quick?
Todd Field.
Todd Field.
Oh yeah,
Todd Field.
Yeah, Todd Field is
okay. Go ahead.
And then in last place is another favorite of mine with the Safdie brothers. And I still think they're super underrated. They only got 6%. So I think
Uncut Gems.
Good Time is my favorite film. So that one hurt a little bit. I won't lie.
It's my own poll.
The moment you realize the world doesn't agree with you is a very painful moment, Sam.
What else have the Safdie brothers done? They've done something else besides the one you just said.
Uncut Gems is
Uncut
their
Gems.
main thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing about Uncut Gems, Sam, is that it's like Aronofsky when he did Mother.
I didn't like Uncut Gems though. I didn't like it.
See, there you go.
I don't
Boom.
like Adam Sandler.
Boom.
That's part of it. Is I just don't like Adam Sandler. You know,
man, I'm a big Adam Sandler fan.
Most people are.
But I know. But listen. I'm gonna tell you,
like
I wasn't a big fan of like Uncut Gems either.
Happy Gilmore and a couple of them other films, Big Daddy. His earlier comedy stuff. I like. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like Uncut Gems.
He's shooting
Some
Happy
people
Gilmore
I knew were
2
involved
right
with
now.
that.
I've always heard.
I said he's shooting Happy Gilmore 2 right now.
Oh, okay. See, I'll watch that. But comedies though are so difficult, man. Like even the stuff he did in the first Happy Gilmore. Kingpin is one of my all-time favorite. But that was who did Kingpin? Was it
those are the Farley
Zuckers? The Farley brothers, yeah.
No, the Farley brothers. Yeah, yeah. Super underrated as well.
Oh, definitely.
That's what made
They
this
do
poll
comedies,
so
though.
hard, Sam. It's like you had to like handpick. Great point, Coke. You had to handpick these directors. You can only get 4 because YouTube.
Yeah, because
that's right.
I can
I
name,
had a list.
I can name
I had a
one
list.
off top. What's my man's name that did Carl? That did Devil in a Blue Dress.
Oh shit, David Lynch?
No, Carl with Denzel and Don Cheadle.
No, not
He's a
Blue.
brother.
I was thinking about Blue Velvet. I was thinking about Blue
Carl
Velvet. You're talking
Franklin.
about Devil in the
Carl
Blue Dress.
Franklin, he did
Yeah,
that,
Carl
and he
Franklin.
did Out of Time with Denzel. Like amazing
Yeah.
films. Nobody even talks about it.
That's when I fell in love with Sanaa Lathan.
Oh yeah, so did
Out of
Denzel.
Time.
That's right.
Allegedly.
Right. Allegedly.
Yeah.
There's certain things where I'm
Yeah.
like, of course. Like I'm not even mad at
like
you.
that should be in his contract. I mean, it's Denzel Washington. Like, what's he supposed to do?
Right.
What's he supposed to do?
Right.
He's
I mean,
a method.
golly.
Baby, I'm a method actor. Like, what am I
method
supposed to
actor.
do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was in character.
The whole time.
But yeah, I think
That's beautiful.
that list that you just broke out should be broken out by decades or certain generations because there's so many underrated filmmakers. Those are a lot. But I'm happy. I'm happy.
He said modern.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I did say modern.
but
it gives us a great idea for future polls.
No.
Like, let's break it out into
Because believe me,
decades.
I'll take it. I'm
a cinephile, and I'm ashamed that I don't know these people by name and their work. The past couple years, I've been slipping. Usually, I make sure I watch every Oscar-nominated film every year. You know, no matter what the genre, just to watch them. So when I'm watching, because it started with the Oscar so black thing when they tried to, they got mad because Will didn't win for that horrible CTI movie he did where he did the African accent that was god awful.
Oh,
and
Emancipation.
I think Wolf of Wall Street was done that year. It's like, do y'all watch films? Did you see that Will Smith movie? And did you see Wolf of Wall Street? And you're telling me he didn't win because he was black? Like, come on now. Everything is not an ism.
Bro.
Like, we got to chill out with some of that.
Right.
So after that, like I said, I just try to make it a point to watch all the films so I wouldn't sound like that. Where I wouldn't be like, man, Tyler should have won that Oscar, man. You know? So, but I'm gonna definitely look up those filmmakers. So thanks, Sam. I love getting schooled. I'd love to see some new generation filmmakers. So, but I love Sean Baker though. I do know Sean Baker for sure.
Oh, he's the best. I mean, he can't. He's got one on the way this year that won the Palme d'Or. Yeah.
I got a screening for it next week, Sam. Let me know if you want to come with me. You could be my date.
But what was the other one? Florida? Was it just Florida? What was the second joint he did after Tangerine? Yeah, that one was dope.
Florida Project, yeah.
Super dope.
That one's
he
fire.
did Red Rocket. He did Red Rocket, which was incredible.
Yeah.
It's another great one. He did a great one called Takeout. That's set in I believe it's New York City. And he did it with another director, but basically the plot is that it's about a takeout delivery driver, but it was kind of done in a style that is very like boots on the ground, very impressive, and it was done in the early 2000s, and so he did that and took kind of a break. But I say this as to why this is interesting is because I watched the film, and it was actually part of the Nashville Film Festival.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talk about that sometimes, but I think that, you know, you look at Sean Baker, someone that, you know, I listed him as modern, but he's been in the game, you know, 20 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's paid his
dues. Takeout was 2004.
Yeah, he's literally shot movies with one light. So
I mean, that's the thing is like that's
he's
what
a lighting master as well.
No, that's my thing, man. Is I don't like all the high key lighting, and especially if you're doing drama, like it needs to. To me, the camera is just an extension of your eye. It should really look how it looks if you're watching something in real life. You know what I mean? I start with available lighting, and then we light around it where necessary because I love dark, moody, especially when you're telling dramatic stories. So. Yeah, I love, I forgot, it might have even been him. I think Tangerine, they were saying they only had a China ball or something like that. It might have been him. They shot most of it exterior, but for the interior stuff, they had like minimal lighting.
Sam, thank you. I appreciate it. And let's bring in producer Papa Bear for some things we should know.
Things we should know. See, Coke already said he likes to be educated, so I love this part of it where we get to have a serious education from one Mr. Papa Bear, producer.
Well, I don't know,
Papa Bear.
but this was a difficult one. I think this is one where Sam is going to, Coke is going to end up educating us.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll see.
You know, it was hard because I started looking at Waterboyz and the word Waterboyz and where did it come from, and we seem to think it started with sports and the guys that go in and bring water to the players, but it really goes back even further to farm work and plantation work, and the guys that brought water to those picking cotton.
Wow,
But
that makes me not want to watch football. Sorry.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead,
joke.
man.
That was a slave joke in case you guys missed it. Like the whole Kaepernick, it's a slave ship. You can't fire me, I quit. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah.
So it started getting a little dark, and I
very
couldn't
dark.
out any
No pun intended.
Right.
Yeah, no. Trivia for
That's
that.
deep though. That's really deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. Yeah.
No, it's really deep.
So what do we got?
And it's also relative. You know what I mean? To kind of, not that anybody's picking cotton anymore, but just, people bringing cold waters to, people working in the field. They're still working in the field when they're driving in their car on the way home, and you're still in the field. So yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about it in terms of that deep. I mean, obviously I thought about Adam Sandler's Waterboy. I got a lot of that. People like, oh, you mean like the Adam Sandler movie? No, actually not. But yeah.
Right. No.
Yeah, no.
It is Waterboyz.
Did I go there?
But PB, what you got?
I didn't go there. I went for the low hanging fruit, and this is going to sound like beating a dead horse, because in looking into Coke's history, in a previous interview, we've already said this before. Coke's, when asked what his main advice, his first key advice to give to young new filmmakers, he said, "Learn to like."
Top ramen.
Oh, that's
top ramen.
Top ramen.
And
yes. Yeah.
So, my question is, and there you are in Atlanta. You just said you've been there 9 years. Based on star rating and number of reviews, what is the best ramen bar in Atlanta?
Wow.
Well, that's an interesting question.
No, me and Nick have no chance. But anyway,
you don't have to make homemade ramen anymore.
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing. I haven't bought into that culture. There's already so many other amazing foods to eat. When I go out to eat, I'm not really thinking about ramen. I'm actually trying to forget about ramen, actually, when I go out to eat. But yeah, that's
make a ramen PTSD.
It's so funny. It's like next thing you know, we're gonna have like a Kool-Aid bar or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's weird that we have these
Coke,
ramen
that's not a bad
restaurants.
idea, bro.
It's already trademarked. Don't try it. Don't try it. Already trademarked it just now.
No, I'm just saying we going this together, bro. Come on, let's do this. Let's do this.
Right. Nah, but for real, I haven't bought into the whole ramen culture. I mean, definitely what Atlanta's known for, obviously, is soul food, and I would say my favorite place is Busy Bees. It's old school. It's right by, I believe it's right outside of Morehouse, but it's super hood. So you should go there early and eat breakfast, get the shrimp and grits. But yeah, Atlanta, synonymous with food. There's so many great restaurants. Outside of ramen, I'm not really a big ramen guy, so I don't. Are you guys big on ramen down there?
Look at him.
So there's a place here that's really good, and I'm going to make that my guess, PB. My guess is going to be Osaku. Osaku.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
I think they're a chain.
I think they serve sushi too, though.
That's the number one ramen place in Nashville. So that's going to be my guess for number one ramen place in the ATL in Atlanta. That's my guess. Nick, you got something?
I have no flipping clue, but there is a place coming here to Virginia. Actually, I just saw it. It popped up, of course, on my socials. And they're like, you look at the wall, there's like 50 different types of ramen, and you make it yourself. So you go and you pick the noodles, the type of noodles you want off the wall, and then you go and pick all of your ingredients. And then they have this little thing
I try not to keep my noodles on the wall.
Right. And you go in and you get your little bowl and you put the stuff in it, put the hot water in there, and you make your own ramen bowl.
That's so crazy though. But that shows you. I mean, it's the same principle, I guess, as gumbo, or even soul food. Like all that kind of food was, it's a delicacy now, but it was made from the scraps. So it's so weird to me that people, have made top ramen like a thing. Well, not top ramen, but ramen a thing.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, did you know
and inflate
that
the price
you can, and some people do eat ramen raw? They just open up the package and just eat it.
I've never done it, but
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know. My wife told me about that. She was like, "Yeah, back in Hawaii, we used to just open it up and eat it." I was like, "Oh no, you gotta cook that stuff, man. I don't know what's on that."
But you know, I say top ramen a lot. Mine was
I've
more
said
so.
it before. I'll say it again.
Cup of
Hawaiians
noodles.
have the worst diet in America.
Cup of noodles,
more so than top ramen. Because top ramen is like you kind of got to know how to cook a little bit to make top ramen. You know, the cup of noodles, you just drop it in the water where the line goes, pop it in the microwave, done deal. Put some hot Cheetos in it on a good day. Right, Sam? Sam knows about the hot Cheetos in the
yeah, he's like,
no, his kids, people intern Sam's age, they eat Takis.
Yeah,
that's true.
My kids, they definitely
they eat Takis. Cheetos is done. They don't like that.
Oh yeah.
Cat.
My kids don't even eat Cheetos. Like it's crazy. Like they'll eat all the other bags and the Cheetos be left. I'm like, what kids don't eat Cheetos? Like,
nah, man, we don't. No, exactly. No, we don't do Takis in this house.
Yeah,
I let my kids try them, and that was it.
Yeah,
that was like, nope. It's way too much food coloring, man. I'm sorry. Like all that blue stuff. Exactly. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, how's it? How are they purple? How are they purple in it? Like, man, really? This shit is
can't
purple.
Be good of you. Can't be good for you.
Yep.
No,
not in my house.
It's not.
Not in my house.
It's got everything. they got everything in a Taki. I wouldn't do it. Okay, so PB.
All right, Papa Bear. What's the answer?
My guess was wait, Coke. Do you have a guess? Do you have any?
I
guess?
don't. I'm not even familiar with any. I eat sushi. I love sushi, but I'm not really familiar with any of the ramen spots. And honestly, even sushi, I haven't found. I mean, obviously, LA. You know, there's a million amazing sushi spots. I haven't really found those in Atlanta. They've got a couple though. But soul food, man. Hattie B's chicken. That's another one. It's crazy.
There you go. Yep.
Nashville.
They know about the Hattie B's.
Y'all got Hattie B's in Nashville? Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh
yeah.
So it's like I think it's where it started.
It's from there.
Okay. Yeah. You might be
so
right.
we had Prince's started.
Prince's hot chicken.
Yeah, and then Hattie B's came after. So Prince's the OG. That's where the story came from with the hot chicken. Basically, Prince was. This is a story from the 1920s and 30s. That's one thing people have to contextualize. Like when they hear the story, like, why would she do that? Well, this is back in the 20s and 30s where you needed your man to pay the rent and to have the job and everything. So he was stepping out on his
good old days. We need to go back to that. I'm joking. Don't edit that.
She made it. She decided she would get him back by making some stuff that she thought would really upset his stomach and make him sick.
Wow.
And it turned out to be hot chicken sauce.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I didn't know.
Hey, wait. We have 6 degrees of separation with that story, Chris, because that is the opening or part of the opening of one of our films. When one character named Mortimer might have gotten himself some hot chicken.
Yeah, actually, in 2 of our films, hot chicken is mentioned. Because Bo Treadwell in Adult Interference starring Kate Upton, shout out to Kate Upton and Mike Vogel, our character played by Ted Welch says, let's go get some hot chicken.
Hot chicken. That's
and
right.
then and Mortimer, played by the wonderful Eddie George, TSU coach right now, but actor. He's been in a ton of stuff. And obviously Tennessee Titans Hall of Fame running back.
Well, I want to say this.
Played Mortimer.
The fact that you guys have chicken as a theme in your movies is amazing. Like, I'm so proud that you guys aren't using any kind of stereotypes when you do these black films. Nothing to do with any, kind of the tropes that go with black people, like chicken and watermelon.
You guys sneak it in.
That's fried chicken.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is hot chicken.
Fried chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hot chicken. Totally. But if you come to Nashville, Coke,
no, I'm gonna come check y'all out one day. I've been to
Key to the City, and you'll see a line around the block for Hattie B's.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. It's not. Again, there's so many spots out here like Hattie B's, and there's quite a few Hattie B's, so it don't really be. Slutty Vegan is what be having the lines around the corner out here. I don't know if you guys have had Slutty Vegan yet. That's really good too. Black owned, Pinky Cole. Yeah, they're expanding everywhere though. Yeah, Slutty Vegans is amazing. Atlanta
my wife
based
is
business.
a vegetarian.
Oh yeah, she'll love it. She'll love it. They're expanding too. I'm sure they're coming to Nashville sooner or later. They're got like 3 spots in Atlanta. I think they're about to open LA. So yeah, they're really big here. They're line.
Man, we tried to franchise a spot called a spot out in LA called True Foods. Not True Foods. Not True Foods. Why did I say True Foods? That threw me off. True Foods is already here. I'm saying no. There was another place, a vegetarian place. Man, they make incredible chicken sandwiches, incredible vegan food out in LA, out in San Diego. And they have a restaurant in Colorado and one in Chicago, and they wouldn't come to Nashville. Man, it's going to drive me
the
crazy.
closest slutty vegan to me is in New York, by the way.
Oh, okay.
What's her name?
Well done, PB. Okay, so
well
PB,
played, good sir. Well played.
What is the answer?
I had to bring
PB?
the floor back around to me.
Yeah, good call.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: anybody can get a 5-star rating if they just have 2 reviews, or 3.
Yeah.
But this place, Jin Ya Ramen Bar in Buckhead, has a 4.7 rating and 2,400 reviews.
And
nice.
2,399 of them are women. That's who eats ramen. Like, I've never had any of the homies, but hey man, you want to go grab some ramen? Like,
right.
No,
well, your young filmmakers.
No, the homie just be like, yo, man, I'm cooking some ramen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't go get ramen.
Like,
Nobody.
you broke? What, you broke? Are you cooking ramen? What happened?
Right. Right.
Check in clear?
Send your young filmmakers there.
Send that. Email me that as well, man. I'm gonna go check it out just since you brought it up.
All right.
I'm sure they,
spell
I might even put it in our newsletter.
I'm gonna try. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be like, oh man, ramen is it.
Right.
PB, spell the damn restaurant for me so I can write it down. Spell it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
JINYA.
Jinya.
That's what they call Virginia over here.
Virginia. Appalachian, Virginia.
That's right.
No, man. So it's called Jinya by
Jinya Ramen Bar. Tell
Ramen
me,
bar.
Coke, if you know where this is. It's at 3714. Yeah,
Everything's on
Roswell
Peachtree.
Road.
Oh, Roswell. Okay,
Right, he's like-
that's a little further up. Usually everything in Buckhead is on Peachtree.
It's in Buckhead. It's on Roswell Road.
Well, there's Buckhead and there's Buck Hood. You know, you don't really want to go to Buck Hood. That's where
right.
they relieve you of all your money for your ramen before you enter the establishment.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, it's so crazy out there. That's
You
one
don't
thing I
go there.
learned. Like the people that commit the armed robberies out there are really smart. They're like, we go to the rich neighborhoods and rob people. Like, we're not robbing each other. We know we don't have nothing. So we're going to go to Buck Hood, catch you out coming out of Lennox with them Louis and Gucci bags and rent it. So, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
beautiful place.
I got the name of that vegan restaurant, by the way, Coke. Veggie. So there's Native Foods and there's Veggie Grill.
Oh, Veggie Grill. I love that. Oh, man. Yeah, there's one on Sunset.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I should tear that up. Their veggie burgers, especially their fries, are crazy.
Crazy.
Yep.
Like, even if you are a meat eater, I highly recommend. I highly recommend both of them. Veggie Grill, Native Foods. You'll enjoy both of those, and they need to come here.
Yeah, Veggie Grill is really good, man. They don't have enough of those in Atlanta either. Like, they don't have Sweet Greens or nothing like that out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I miss them. That's some LA stuff. I miss that type of stuff. That kind of cuisine.
Tons of choice on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Tons of choice in New York. But then you get in places like where I'm at, it's like everybody wants pork in every
the South.
dish.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
in the South is different, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, but it's not good for everything. So anyway, PB, that is in fact a thing we should know. I appreciate you. You just helped everyone listening get fed in Atlanta. Appreciate it. So I want to read this quote before we ask you the namesake of this podcast, the question.
Well, I'm gonna drop in the CC real quick, man.
Oh, you do want to do it?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, just it'll be short.
Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this quote real quick, and then we go to a culture check with Nick here in a second. So you reminded me of this, Coke, and I just have to read it to you. And Nick, you talked about it a little bit too, about being a moving train, being working. And this is from one of my favorite people, Jerry Seinfeld. So he was quoted saying, back in the 1980s, I had a friend who was teaching a comedy course at the Improv on Melrose in LA. And he asked me if I would come and talk to the class. I said, sure. And I went in and there was, I don't know, maybe 20 people in the class. It was in the afternoon. And I went up on stage and I said, the fact that you have even signed up for this class is a very bad sign for what you're trying to do. The fact that you think anyone can help you or there's anything you need to learn, you have gone off on a bad track, because nobody knows anything about any of this. And if you want to do it, what I really should do is I should have a giant flag behind me that I would pull a string and it would roll down, and the flag would just say 2 words: just work.
Yeah.
And so I think of you, Coke, the same way. I think with Nick, what you're saying, the best thing you can do for yourself is work. Yeah. Have that script ready, so when you run into that Eddie Griffin, you have something that your friends didn't have. Nick, you talked about me back in my songwriting days. You know why I ended up doing all the internships at BMI and at Zomba and all these places was because the rest of my singing group back when I was in music, they were all smoking weed and womanizing. I was writing songs, playing piano, meeting the executives, trying to figure out the business model,
and
how this was
womanizing.
going on.
You got to put at the end.
And womanizing.
Womanizing. Yeah, at the end of it.
You're right.
Yep.
You just knew how to manage your time better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And taking mescaline.
Yeah.
And smoking opium.
But that's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there.
But now I tell people that all the time.
It's
I'm
a great
like,
quote
you know,
from Seinfeld.
Yeah, amazing quote. You know, just do it. I mean, that's so cliche, but it's like, what are you waiting on? You are the help you're waiting on. You are the you're waiting on. Like, I literally have done films for $100,000 budgets to $2 million to $2.5 million. So, and I treated them all the same. So I think it's just, again, especially with technology being what it is, man, get creative. Like you have especially now with this new iPhone, you literally have a film camera in your hand. You know, go learn lighting. There's so many. The best college, the best film school college in the world is YouTube. Because it's free, and you can learn all the stuff the kids are paying $100,000, $200,000, you know, mortgaging their parents' house for. Obviously, if you have that option, that's what you should go do while you're young. Definitely go to film school. If you have that option, you have the money, you have the luxury. But if not, there's so many resources online for you to, you know, learn. It can't teach you talent. That's one thing I always say. You can't be taught talent. You can be taught a craft, but you can't be taught talent. It could teach you how to block a shot and light a shot and edit and all that type of stuff. But the talent is something that's got to come from within. So I think that's an amazing speech he gave them, especially with comedy. Like, you know, going around Eddie, those guys are gladiators, man. You either are a comedian or you're not. Nobody's going to teach you to do it. You just jump up on stage one day, get booed, get bottles thrown at you, and you're like, all right, let me try better next time. Okay, they threw one less bottle at me tonight, so you know, those dudes are real. I have so much respect for comedians, you know, spending all the time with Eddie and being in those comedy clubs and seeing everybody on their rise, from Chris Rock to Chris Tucker to everybody used to come through the Comedy Store when I was up there with Eddie. Like, you know, Leslie Jones, who I put in her first film. That's my girl. Gary Owen, you know, all these people in the early days. So I think that was great advice, man. You just gotta go. When you don't have resources, you get resourceful. You never know who might support you. And now they got all these, you know, like what's called crowdfunding and things like that. Just like we talked about our man Tangerine. That's why I applauded him too, because before he did Tangerine, his film before that was like a $2-3 million budget, and it didn't really get him the bounce that he wanted. So he had to roll up his sleeves and go back, you know, essentially to making a film school, a student film. You know, would be dang near a student film, but he made something magical. So I think you can't teach talent. That's the one thing I like to tell people all the time, man. You can't teach talent. Like craft is one thing, but talent, because the talent is what's going to keep you eating the top ramen when the hunger pains come, because they're going to come no matter who you are. You know, and we were laughing earlier about Chris and his college days and stuff like that. But I remember literally during my ascent in the film industry, being broke, so broke one time, I literally used to dream about food. I literally would have dreams about food. And I would wake up and be like, oh man, if I could just eat some In-N-Out or Fat Burger and not this damn top ramen again.
You're right.
Top ramen was a good day. It was some nice, we ate popcorn for dinner. Like, but through all that, I always believed in myself. I never ever lost hope. I never ever lost belief. I just knew, for one, I didn't come from money. I didn't come from an entertainment family. I started kind of late because I was a rapper through most of my 20s. So I got into films late, and I just realized, like, one day I just had to suck it up and be like, man, this is going to be a long ass journey. You just got to strap up and keep going, keep getting better. You know, I learned to make films by making films. So I think that's the best way to learn, because, you know, and a lot of times I advocate for film school, but sometimes I feel like they don't, when I was at Morehouse, I spoke on this. They don't really learn the film business in film school. That's a whole nother dimension to it. Like, cause you're an entrepreneur. So you got to learn how to make a product too and do your art, which is always, you know, a salsa, you know, to say the least. So yeah, I think that's great advice, man. You just got to get to it. What you waiting on? You got a camera phone, get creative. Go. I've seen I've seen trash movies shot on the best cameras created, and I've seen amazing movies shot on prosumer cameras, on 7Ds and 5Ds and stuff like that. You know, especially I really applaud these younger cats and how creative they are, man. I've seen some stuff that really blew me away, done for, you know, next to nothing.
100%.
That's perfect, man. That's awesome.
Nick,
All right, Chris.
I want to roll the great carpet for you.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna throw it out there because there's one of those things that we do here, Coke. Yeah. Right. Which I wanted to tell. I know that Coke. I don't know if y'all know, but Coke is named after my favorite beverage, Jack and Coke.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You got the Coke and the Jack Daniels.
Funny story.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, hit it.
My mother, you know, the 70s, she actually did a lot of cocaine. So that's why she named me Coke. It had nothing to do with the soda. Fun fact.
See that?
Put it on Wikipedia.
Look at that. Now you know.
Nah,
and knowing is half the battle.
I've told people all kinds of stuff, especially Hollywood. In my early days, it was so funny. To this day, still, I have to correct people sometimes, especially some of the white executives in Hollywood. They don't want to call me Coke. I don't want to say it. I don't know if it's triggering. I don't know what the problem is, but they just like...
There it is.
I corrected somebody a couple of weeks ago. They called me Damon. I'm like, who are you talking to? My name is Coke. Do you call Spike Lee Sheldon? Do you call Woody Allen? You call Woody Allen whatever his real name is? Don't call me by my real name unless it's my family member. My name is Coke. You know what I mean? So, but just a fun fact on that. So in my rapper days, I got that name from Coke LaRock, who was actually the first rapper to ever touch a mic, along with Kool Herc. Kool Herc used to DJ the parties, and Coke LaRock was the one that rapped. So I named myself after Coke LaRock. And as a rapper, it just stuck. So when I moved into films, I didn't want to change and use my regular name because, you know, just young and thinking about your homies, and they're going to be like, you didn't do that movie. It said Damon Daniels on it. It didn't say no Coke on that movie. But honestly, too, Eddie Griffin, too, though, he used to always Coke Daniels this, Coke Daniels that, Coke Daniels this. And after a while, it just stuck with me where I'm like, and to this day, people are like, man, your name is so dope, man. Like, it fits you. It fits you being a filmmaker. And so it's another thing I attribute to Eddie because I just be like, hey, it's Coke. But to this day now, I'll be like, hey, it's Coke Daniels. You know what I mean? So... And it's your favorite drink,
man. I love it.
Yeah, it's your favorite drink.
Yeah, see, you know, my favorite drink is a Jack Daniels with Coke. That's what I'm saying. It is Coke. You see, Coke Daniels, Jack and Coke.
Yeah,
it's just perfect. All right, so real quick, so we're gonna get into a culture check.
Zero. You need the sound effects too to go with it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna throw the whole thing at you. All right, so look. Yeah, real quick, and this is gonna be quick, right? Okay. So here's the deal.
That's what she said.
I know. Yeah, she gotta be careful because I'm the long pole in the tent. So all right. So here's the deal. So I watched the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched the movie. I watched the Waterboyz, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I think a lot of people would think this was a black movie.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a black movie. Okay. Now you said something earlier that made me think, okay, you said urban, right? Urban movie. But I'm not sure if I even see it as an urban movie. Okay. I think that might be the next level down of specificity. But what I feel like it's a regional movie.
Yeah.
So the reason I think about it as a regional movie, and I think that more people should think about movies like this as regional, is because now you get to explore parts of the country that you might not have explored before. When you think about it as a black movie, you might think that movie's not for me.
Right.
But if I tell you about this, it's about this region of the country of which you are a part.
Yeah.
Right, then that's for you.
Yes,
because you get to explore something like, you know, PB was saying, like, you don't know what the Waterboyz is, but now you get an education, you get great storytelling, you get to see some actors that are on the come up, you get to see some people who are doing it really well, and you get that, you know, good heartfelt story that's in there as well.
Yeah.
So I was just saying, from a culture check standpoint, I think sometimes we all need to check ourselves and say, just because you see a bunch of black folks in the movie doesn't mean it's a black movie. Just like when you see a bunch of white folks in a movie, you don't call it a white movie.
Yeah.
This right here is a regional film that really explores regional things that are happening. This is based on true events,
things that are happening
in the United States of America. So I think that for me, when I saw it, I was like, this is an excellent regional film.
No, that's dope, man. I never thought of that way. Actually, a producer friend of mine, he kept saying that initially to me, and that was one of his concerns. He was going to become involved in it, but he ended up doing another project he had to do. But he was like, he felt it was too regional. But I told him, I said, well, before Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society in those films, people didn't know about Crips and Bloods and LA culture like that.
That's
and
right.
I feel like people don't, other than the music, just like back then, we knew about NWA, we knew about Too Short and all these artists and stuff, but you didn't know about the stories being told that are behind these rhymes that you're hearing. And the same thing now, you hear all, Atlanta's got the biggest music scene probably in the world, but we haven't really explored all these Atlanta stories. And there's so many, living here all these years, there's some, just like even the Waterboyz. Like, I learned that with Karen, where I started learning to get inspired by things I just see out the front window. Like, that's the story. It's like, so what's your next movie called? The Waterboyz. How is that a movie? Like, the kids on the corner? Why? So then I turn it into a whole other thing that opens it up, like you said, to, I seen somebody, it was a white guy recently, he did a review on, I forgot where I seen it. I don't really listen to comments. I mean, read comments or do reviews because, art is subjective. And
good for you.
I just, I let that stuff, especially after Karen, I had to develop really tough skin, but I'm already like that anyway. I don't really care what people think about me or my films because I'm getting them done. And, again, art is subjective. And one of you guys was saying something earlier, about Jerry Seinfeld, where none of us know what a hit film is. None of us know. Spielberg on down. Spielberg's done a bunch of horrible movies. He's done a handful of great ones and a bunch of horrible ones, and he's an icon and deserves to be. But none of us really have the silver bullet for what it is. But I love that, though, because my goal is to make, one of the ways I would kind of frame Waterboyz early on when I was talking about is it was art house trap. Like I wanted to make a festival circuit hood movie. You know what I mean? So all these labels and stuff, you're 100% right. These are things we've been given. And one day I want to do a movie called White Exploitation. Because there's no such thing. Like Seth Rogen and Will Ferrell and all, that's white exploitation. Like they exploit every white stereotype ever. And no white people get outraged. You know what I mean? But let a black man put on a dress. And now what, a black man can't wear a dress? No, I'm just messing with you. But
right.
But I'm gonna tell you what it is though, which is a deeper conversation, is we've been marginalized and judged and put down and lacked opportunities because of images and stereotypes and stuff like that. And that's why we're so sensitive about them and so sensitive about who gets ordained to represent us as a culture. And that's why filmmakers and music artists are so criticized, because a lot of us don't have a voice. Artists, we're fortunate enough to have a voice, especially if you get your films or your music out on a large platform. There's a responsibility to that. And there's for every one Spike Lee, there's a million trillion Spike knees. You know what I mean? That just probably equally as talented, just never got their shot. But that's interesting though, man. And I like that take on it. And I'm not one of them so stuck on like, what was it? Fear of a Black Hat? When they're like, because I'm blackity black. I'm blackity black. So I'm not that stuck on it being like, no, this is a black film, my brother. This is us.
Right. Yeah.
Because I do think one of my favorite coming of age films is Stand By Me. So, certain tropes of any kind of coming of age story are going to appeal to everybody because we could all relate to that. And even if it's not the exact same characteristics, it's, similar experiences. Because I can't tell you how many, the actor Dolo, AJ Walker, dope artist, man. Super trap kid. If you've seen him, you think, he's a rapper. He talks hella Southern, but he posted a bunch of his favorite films earlier, and he was posting, I think he put Stand By Me and Goonies and, all these films that you would think a kid from the east side of Atlanta wouldn't understand. But, a good story is a good story, man, no matter what faces,
that's right,
what color the faces are. So I appreciate that take on the film because it is regional. And I do think people haven't really, I was talking the other day, because I still got to do my quintessential LA film one day. I did a quintessential Atlanta film, I got to do my LA film. But the LA culture has been so exploited, especially the back in the day, the 80s, the 90s, the Jerry Curls, this. Nobody wants to see that anymore. And that's the era I'm from. So that would be more than likely the stuff I would gravitate towards. So I do appreciate you, with that culture check, because that's, I'm going to start using that. I'm going to use that. Yeah, and Papa Bear said something earlier I was going to steal from him too. I can't remember what it was. Just send me the transcript and I'll plagiarize everything that I want.
Everything, Here, you can steal this from me. How you said you start a movie with a title.
Yeah.
So I've got a title for your sequel to Waterboyz.
Okay.
Windshield Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. People come up and spray your windshield, right? For money.
Squeegee Boys.
Squeegee Boys.
Squeegee Boys. I heard about them. That's on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, it might be New York.
We had them. Yeah,
everywhere.
Candy Boys, like there's kids that sell candy. You know what I mean? It's the same general principle. It just
near us we got the roses. People sell roses.
Yeah,
like every corner, man. People sell roses.
Yeah,
I see that, and like so, especially in the Hispanic neighborhoods down here, they're selling you fruit.
I think that's LA great. Too.
That's like what you want. That's what you want.
But you know what? Even when I used to see cats doing that in LA, I'd be like, you know what? A lot of people would joke about that kind of stuff, but man, that man is out there doing whatever he can do for his family. Like there's there's something to be commended about that. And hey, I guarantee you, gang of them cats out there selling oranges. Next thing you know, they bought this business, they purchased a home, they took out a business loan, started this and that. It's kind of the same principle of what the Waterboyz do. Like, there's been kids that have bought gaming trucks off their water money. They bought cars. They started there's a group of them called Waterboyz in the Hood. They was in the movie with the T-shirts. They got their own merch. Everybody in Atlanta, you see with the Waterboyz in the Hood stuff. So it's it teaches them. Even when we were talking to the Waterboyz that came on the show with us earlier, it teaches them an entrepreneurial spirit and helping them understand there's bigger things than just what's being optioned. Because it opens up their minds where they're like, okay, I did this hustle, so now I could apply that hustle to this and this, business model, kind of some other things. And it was really interesting hearing them young men talk earlier.
The contexts are different, but the concepts are the same.
The
principles are the same. And I remember my business mentor telling me, shout out to RJ Stillwell, he used to tell me that he would have to drive to Cincinnati and then he would drive to Indiana and he'd drive all over the country to get money.
Yeah.
And that was just what he had to do from Nashville. So he would, when he was getting started, he'd go anywhere. And
that's my story with Eddie Griffin.
Money, support your family.
It's because I tell the glorious side of Eddie, but then there was a lot of times when he'd be like, hey, Coke, I got this idea, write this script. And it wouldn't be no money involved, but I'd write it. You know what I'm saying? Or, hey, come up to the Sky Bar. I want you to meet Suge Knight. I don't want to meet Suge Knight. Nah, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's 2 a.m. I don't want to see Suge Knight at 2 a.m. anywhere.
2 a.m.
Yeah, but it was a lot of, like I call it with Puffy, no Diddy. I know we're not supposed to bring him up anymore. He's not fully canceled yet, so I can still tell the cheesecake analogy. Like, and even Simon Cowell on American Idol, like I understand people that kind of put people through that kind of boot camp because they're really what they're preparing you for is the industry. We all know on this call, like, you're going to get doors slammed in your face, talk too crazy, asked to do stuff that you don't want to do. And, it's all a test. So I think, those kind of principles is, even work with Eddie. Like, we made a lot of money together, but I did a lot of stuff free, too, on the strength of, even prior to us making money together, just of building the relationship with him. And that's one thing that I'm going to start keying in on with people is, like, I should have said this earlier when one of you guys asked me the question. You find a mentor, man. Learn to be a good Indian before you try to be a chief. With this like microwave culture, everybody wants to be a boss immediately. Like I was under Eddie Griffin's wing for a decade before I started really, really pushing out on my own and doing my own films. And even my first couple films, he was in them still. So I was still, going through, Mr. Miyagi's karate camp, sanding fences and painting the deck, or was it painting the fence and sanding the deck? Whatever it was. Pretty soon you know karate.
There you go. Yeah.
What I'm saying is pretty soon you know karate. One day you're doing yard work, next week you people up from Cobra Kai. So that's
nice. Yep.
It's a great point. And Nick, this is a culture check for another day, but the young men that I get to mentor, I'll look at their social handles and I'll say like CEO or Mr. CEO in it or and I'm like, are you CEO of anything?
Are you?
Like,
do you have an LLC, sir?
Take that off, man. Take that off. Like
but even that doesn't make you a CEO.
right away. And you got to be, like you said, India before you're a chief. So, and we have a refrain on this podcast, 2 refrains actually, Coke. 1, story is king. So spot on Stand By Me. Then 2, what's black about it?
Yeah.
And Nick might say, What's black about being a single mother? And so to me, the real woke, if you want to be woke, the real woke is not letting yourself succumb to these stereotypes and these mindsets and ways of thinking, right?
Yeah.
Like who said it was black to be a single mother?
Yeah.
That's not a black thing.
I think
That's
actually, and maybe this is something for another day with Sam, but I think statistically, if I'm correct, there's more white single mothers than black single mothers.
Well, there has to be. Because statistically,
There's
if you
more
look
white
at
people?
the population
All right.
of the United
I tried,
States,
man.
exactly.
I tried. He brought up woke. I just went way out there. You know what I'm saying? I went way out on the limb. It sounded good.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
I think
nice try up.
And welfare, though.
Yeah, nice try
but
up.
statistics, obviously they're skewed because, we're still the minority, at least for the next few years, according to I was watching a documentary on the Christian nationalists.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Those guys are frightening, man. I had no clue, like, what was really, really going on. Like, I was like, whoa. So that's what pushed in office the first time. Like, he became Christian, and they were showing thing. He was like, they were like, so are you an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy? He was like, hey, it's I don't know. You gotta love that guy to a certain degree.
People who support hardcore have total amnesia.
Oh, for sure.
Well,
they don't remember him being a New York. They don't remember him being.
You don't remember him being a rap icon? Like, everybody used to drop his name and rap lyrics. Like, he was one of us.
Kanye put him in that video where he was sleeping in the bed in the orgy.
Yep.
Hey,
I forget the name. What was that song?
It is.
I can't remember, but anyway, that was one of the dopest videos. If you go, what was it called, Sam? Famous.
Oh,
okay. If you go back and watch the Famous video
he was in the bed with them?
Yeah. So if you go back with the Diddy stuff going on right now, if you go back and watch the Famous video, he was telling you something.
Yeah.
Look at the people who were in the bed. That's all.
Well, I think, not to get way off subject, but that's what, and we was talking earlier about this, like, like the change in the guard thing I was talking about. And like with talent, there just becomes a certain responsibility and success. And I think that just somewhere we just went off the rails with all that because, Diddy had all the money in the world and a lot of these other people that are caught up in these things. It's like the things that, would make everybody else allegedly happy. And you just still are participating in debauchery. Like it's sad, man. It's sad because really, especially as, culturally, for hip hop, what's happening with Puff is really like we crack jokes and memes and all that kind of stuff, but it's tragic, man. I don't feel bad for him. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a tragic moment for the culture.
Yeah,
it feels like one by one,
LL Cool
each
J,
one of our heroes are falling off. Anyway, go ahead.
But LL Cool J slid a little joke in there. He has a new song out on his album called Proclivities, and when that song came out and this all was going on. Yeah,
he was at them Diddy parties. Boy.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah. So all right. So Chris, we're getting close to wrapping it up.
Yeah,
so we definitely want to do the thing that we do before we end this thing that we do. You like that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have to play that one back.
Man,
that was
like
dope.
battle rap bars right there. Like that's battle rap.
Exactly. that was a triple entendre. So we have to ask the question: what does it mean to you to make it?
I mean, honestly, I tell people all the time, like I don't feel like I've made it yet. I feel like I've reached a peak, but not the plateau. You know what I mean? Like, or not the mountaintop, let's say. But to, I've heard it's cliche, but there's a saying that says the person that's the richest is the person who needs the least to be happy. So I think there's some Zen philosophy and that type of thing too, of just, learning to be, everybody's idea is making it. Some people aren't happy unless they're stunting on everybody and got Bentleys and chains and all the women. Like everybody's success of making it is different. So I think whatever your definition is of making it, you should be comfortable with that. Like even we were talking about Sean Baker earlier, he's probably never going to do a Marvel movie. He's probably never going to make the Forbes list, but I'm sure he's quite happy being an acclaimed filmmaker that gets to keep telling his stories and doing things on, his terms. I do think that that's part of making it is doing things on your terms. I think no matter how much money you're making, if you're doing it on other people's terms and you're punching the clock essentially in Hollywood. And I have a lot of friends that are staff writers and, just work for hire writers. And they tell me all the time, man, keep doing what you do. Like they make way more money than me, but they never get to tell their stories. They're always polishing somebody else's script or getting brought onto this show to be on the staff or, EP the show, but you're really the writer and things like that. So I think, for me, making it is just being able to have a long, sustained career and a body of work. Having a body of work is important to me too, where it's not just one good film. And I won't name any filmmakers, but there's a lot of them, unfortunately, that they got one or two good films and you're like, Whereas like Scorsese, I don't think Scorsese really has a bad film. He's getting older now, so some of his films are kind of, The Irishman was kind of, it was teetering. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't Casino. Right. It wasn't, Goodfellas or things like that. So I think whatever your idea of making it is, be comfortable with that. Don't get pressured by other people's standards of making it. For you, this guy, like, Tyler Perry, for instance, like I'm not going to sit up and be like, damn, Tyler Perry's a billionaire. I need to try to be a billionaire. I need to do, 50 films. I need to do a sitcom a week. That's Tyler Perry's idea of success. So I think whatever your concept of making it is, you should definitely determine it. You need to have a goal, not monetary wise, but just who you're trying to be. And, for mine is being a working filmmaker, doing films on my terms, being able to provide for my family, being able to provide avenues for other filmmakers to come and, keep pushing the culture forward, man, doing films that mean something that are important to the culture,
I love
You're
it.
here. I love it. And it reminds me of Sam Zell, the famous entrepreneur who was also sort of famously modest. And he said, the only luxury in life is a private jet. everything else everything else isn't worth it. Everything else isn't worth it. Just don't buy anything else expensive, but the only luxury is a private
hilarious.
Jet.
It's so funny too is another thing I always tell people is like some of the happiest people I've known in my life are some of the brokest people I know. And some of the most just vile and horrible and sad people I've met is rich people. Not all rich people, but certain rich people where I'm like, why are you so miserable? Like you have everything and you're just still angry and mad. And I used to tell my kids, I'm like, hey, just be happy. We got money. We got problems that money can fix. Some people got problems that money can't fix, and
That's
right.
right.
You are who you are before you got the money and when you get the money. So when you see people displaying certain kind of traits when they get money, that was always there. It's just the money gave them the ability to feel comfortable to bring it out. So just, man, be comfortable in your own skin. Run the race at your own pace, whether it takes you, a couple years to make it in films or 20 years. Like we were talking about Sean Baker. I didn't know he had been at that long. I've been doing films 20 years now. So it just, it's a marathon, not a race.
And you look quite happy. Can you
Very
tell
happy.
everybody where they can find you on social media, on the internet, where we can see your work?
Okay.
Anything else you want to promote? Go for it. It's your time.
Okay. Well, first, my Tinder account is, for all the single ladies out there.
you put it out there. Hey,
looking for a single dad with a gaggle of children. I'm your dreamboat.
Right.
So on Tinder, no, I'm just messing with you. But
he said it's your platform, right?
He said, hey, he told me whatever I wanted to promote. Yeah,
that's right.
This is when Papa
the only thing I'm really on is Instagram.
Okay.
Only thing I'm really on is Instagram, but I do have an OnlyFans, but I won't put that out there because it's only for fans.
You'll find it from the Instagram.
Yeah, it's only for fans. If you're a fan, you'll find it.
Right.
But no, my Instagram is official Coke Daniels. That's pretty much where you could reach me, and a lot of my trailers and stuff are on YouTube. My films are on pretty much all the streaming platforms. Pretty much all of them are across the board. But official Coke Daniels. That's pretty much my only social media thing. I can't do more than one, man. I don't see how people have multiple social media things. Like that's crazy.
Same.
I hear you, man.
I have one place I really do on my own. I can't do anything more. But for all those watching that have hung in with us, all those listening, do what the man says. Follow him on official Coke Daniels on Instagram and check out his work. He is the ever ascending Coke Daniels. Go out and watch Waterboyz. You will enjoy it. It's a Chris and Nick guarantee that you will learn something from this film, especially if you are an independent filmmaker. So go enjoy that and watch the craft. I have to say this in terms of just what we're doing together, me and Nick. Really, really important. If you love what we're doing, you love the work we're doing, you want to support us, really, really important that you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button if you're on YouTube. If you're listening to this on Apple and Spotify, leave us a rating. 5-star review preferable, but I want you to be authentic and in whatever you feel. But we're working hard over here. So 5-star appreciated. Leave a review as well. It really makes a difference because we're in a world of algorithms. We're in a world of keywords. And so the more reviews we have, the more human feedback we get on each of these platforms, the better. So
can I say something real quick?
Please do, Coke.
Please do.
I'm only here because they had 100,000 subscribers. Like, so that should tell you everything you need to know. I would definitely not be up at 10 o'clock at night talking to these gentlemen. I mean, they're lovely gentlemen, especially the light-skinned fella. Like, I know we're probably family somewhere down the line. But yeah, I would not be here if they didn't have 100,000 subscribers. So I need you guys to keep subscribing so they could have more interesting people like me come talk to y'all.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's right. We had to build ourselves up.
I'm trying to help. Remember I told you how we pull each other up? I'm trying to pull.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nick,
moving train.
Yeah.
Moving train.
Coke, love you for that, man. Appreciate you for that so much. And outside of that, we have merch. You can go to cottonbureau.com. You can search for Make It or the Make It podcast. Our store will come right up. Soft, buttery soft t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters. Cotton Bureau only accepts 10% of all designs submitted. Our design is in there. That should tell you what you need to know. I'm wearing one of them right now. You see this Make It in Toronto. We have this is Toronto. I had to make sure. But
what do I got? What's that say?
You got Make It in Atlanta. Love it. That's a hot shirt.
That red one should be like Make It in Inglewood or Make It in Compton. Make It in Compton.
I ain't trying to get hurt, bro.
on the way, considered and on the way.
Yeah.
So we have 8 or 10 cities now, Nick. I think you know we Nashville, Los Angeles, DC, Tokyo, Miami. Sydney, London. It's all there. Chicago. So go out and pick up that at cottonbureau.com. Again, just search for the Make It podcast to pick up the merch. And last but not least, Nick, can you leave us with the credo?
Of course, as always, to our filmmaking friends, our family, our followers, just everybody who loves us and that we love out there, we have to say, be better, be creative, be engaged.
And thank you for listening. Nick, Coke, talk to you soon.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate y'all.
Again, appreciate
Congrats
you guys.
on everything, man. Keep going.
For sure.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, PB. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace.